Hey, everybody. Welcome to Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast, Season 3, Episode
10.
Episode 10. Very good. We're live in the studio with the evil one, Evil Ed. Ed, how are you on this toasty Wednesday night here in SoCal?
I'm doing okay.
All right.
A little humid.
Just a tad. Not as cool as our other guest, our special guest in the house, the legend of the minibike world, Mr. Jake Moe. Jake, how are you tonight, brother?
Good, man. Thanks for having me. Good
Our
to be
pleasure.
back.
The drive wasn't that bad because were you working in the valley today?
Yeah, I was working in Van Nuys, so just probably 20 minutes, 15 minutes.
Yeah, we call it Van Nuys. Do you hate that expression, the valley, Ed?
The
Yeah.
valley.
Oh, that's all
Yeah.
right.
It's just the expression, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a valley.
It's all those chick movies that made it kind of pussified.
Valley girls, valley this.
Well, we're kind of in the valley, but we're here with the guys tonight in the podcast, and this is a very, very special podcast, Ed, as I mentioned earlier, because, you know, I've had a couple shitty ideas over my years here. In fact, most of them were really kind of, come on, there were stretches.
Don't make me laugh.
The,
Don't make me laugh.
The Frankenstein video, oh, God, I look back at that, kind of cringe. The first podcasts. But damn it, now we're finding our stride, and I finally think we came across a great idea because it literally eliminates us from doing shit, Ed. Really. What we'll do is we will let our guests be the star.
Why didn't I think of that like three seasons ago?
You did. And you're being modest. I think that was one of your first suggestions, wasn't it? So we should have the guys call in, and we tried that. But, you know, between awkward Skype interviews,
You say that.
he did. He's brilliant beyond what he even knows. We realized that at some point, many of the guys who listen to the show, and many of the gals or kids or whatever, they've got stories to tell. They're in a mini bike scene that maybe we're not seeing here. Maybe they're in a group of 4, or maybe they're in a group of 40. Maybe they're riding on the street. Maybe they're riding off road. Our group encompasses not only just the Pull Start mini bike gang, but also all of our mini moto guys. So maybe there's a contingent of guys that are into the Groms, right? The Ruckuses and the Metrucks, which is a combination of those Metropolitans and those Ruckuses. There's that new Honda Monkey that's coming out.
Thing's cool.
It is.
I like that.
Do you notice many of the common Grom parts, like the front forks, the wheels?
Is it a 125?
Same
cc?
power plant.
Yeah, that's cool.
So what's happening is that they're going to introduce that. In fact, if you go put a deposit down, I would go to see Darlene at Honda of Glendale. Now, the only reason why I haven't gone down there is because those of you may realize that we're kind of downsizing. That's why we're selling some of the bikes. In fact, I'm telling you, if you're into old vintage bikes, we've got some decent ones here. It's not a what do they call it? A fire sale. Good prices, fair prices, but you can check us out. But I am waiting to eliminate some of the inventory that we have here and hopefully find an opportunity to go down and put a deposit on one of those monkeys. But I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait because I think that the larger size Grom's coming. And that's typically what they do. They brought out the Grom, and the Grom's been out now for a period of years, and it's evolved a bit, but really more cosmetics. So when you get to that 4-year cycle of a bike, you'll notice that they kind of change. Now that big, larger size engine Grom would be just what that thing needs. But by that time, you know, those bikes will be going for $6,000. And all of a sudden, these little cool mini motos that you're able to pick up. I think I bought my Grom out the door for $35. They're going to be like $65. So now that whole original plan. But anyways, whether you're into Groms or whether you're into, man, the Suzuki Vans, all those cool bikes, there's a lot of groups out there in the States that we want to hear from. So tonight we're going to kick off the, what do we call it, Ed? The Joe's Minibike Reunion All-American Mini Bike Roll Call.
Roll call.
I thought the roll call gave it a military
roll
slant.
call. That was it.
All American. I like it.
Yeah, all right. So tonight, representing states
Sounds big.
from, it does sound big. It is going to be big. In California, Jake, I'm going to let you speak on behalf of what's happening here, and we'll take a little bit of a harder core perspective on the mini bike scene from Charles Mosley. MDB, I'll be talking to him. Arizona's representing strong. In fact, I'm not sure if both of these guys, John Benet as well as Nick Scara, are both with mini bike riders with the Z. But if they are, I'll probably just talk to the one. If not, we'll talk to both of them if we've got time. We've got Texas represented by Mike Hughes from the Texas Outlaw Mini Bike guys. Mike, look forward to speaking to you. Kyle Moody. Ed, you know Kyle. I think Kyle recently won something on the show. He donated his gift to Karen Krause. I think it was a F&B T-shirt.
F&B.
Kyle Moody.
Kyle Moody.
Yep.
And Chris Nelson. Chris has a good chance to steal tonight's podcast because I've noticed so many folks speaking on his behalf, congratulating him for all the good work he did at the recent Simcoe event. Our buddy Tom, what's his name, Ed?
Simple Tom.
Simple Tom.
Simple Tom.
He just got back. He must be old because he's still recovering from this event. So it must have been a pretty good event. Or he's pretty fucking old. I don't know. One of the two.
I think I'm older than him.
Yeah. Are you?
I think so. Yeah.
I don't think you're old. Yeah, you're older than everybody, though.
I
So
think
that all
so.
right. All right. So Kyle's going to be representing Wisconsin and talking about that Simcoe event. We forwarded some video to E, and maybe we'll have an opportunity to even showcase a little bit of video. We're not sure if it's going to be from his parade. Apparently, the parade was over 200 bikes, and the participants were like 500 or 50 mini bikes. I don't know. He'll be able to help us. Probably close to 100, but great. And then finally, we've got Vinny from Vinny's Minis representing Florida, Chris Cirillo from New York, and my buddy Calvin Carisi from Michigan. So we're going to begin that, but not before
That's
we talk.
Vinny Kuko?
Vinny's Minis, Vinny Kuko.
Yeah, Vinny Kuko, yeah.
And Vinny already set me up. It's like, look, Joe, he was worrying about running long. It's like, don't worry. We'll hook you. First of all, I'd like to thank some of our sponsors. Couldn't do what we do here, Ed, without our friends from Pioneer.
Pioneer.
In here.
I didn't know where you're pointing at.
Well, there's so much
Pioneer. I love Pioneer.
You did a really good job. Incidentally, congratulations. If I could get some support, Emmanuel, all the increased likes on the podcast when you took Realm and took over the microphone. Congratulations, Ed. Is there someone up there we're looking at?
Yeah, they look like solicitors.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Bye-bye, brother. So
Maybe they want to get in the podcast.
well, it could be a roofer. I'm getting some roofing estimates. It would be bad timing for him if he was here to do a roofing estimate.
Yeah.
We got to change the roof up, Ed. All right. So, anyways, if he keeps staring on you, maybe he's an
already
evil
waved.
Ed. Maybe he's an evil Ed fan. You sell him a T-shirt. What was I talking about? We wanted
Pioneer.
Pioneer. Thank you. I'll be with Pioneer tomorrow. We're building some really cool special vehicles. They're like, imagine a round teardrop trailer and the drivetrain being a motorcycle with a shell over it. We bought a dozen of them.
Really?
They just arrived from a container from Japan. I've been tracking it daily. It got to the port Friday. Took 3 days to hold, make sure there was no drugs or anything in there, right? They check every fucking thing on that. And they finally will release it tomorrow. It's going to be delivered to 5 Axis, which is a really custom, cool design. Troy from 5 Axis built some badass cars. He built some 69 Camaros. You dive for us for Pioneer. Awesome in that world of Chip Foose in terms of custom builder. He's going to be modifying all these units, and we're going to give them to our Pioneer Select dealers and let them take what we give them. We're going to set them up a little bit. We'll lower them. We'll give them a nice hollow body, and then they get to, on their own design, populate that with Pioneer product, and they'll have a competition, and one of the dealers will win. But each dealer will get one of those and have a chance to customize them further to showcase the Pioneer audio. So that's why I love working with those guys. They do so many cool creative things. They'll be here at the event, big JMBR, October the 13th. Joe's Minibike Reunion, the 7th annual. So
7th annual.
yeah, who would
Been
have
7 years
Look at
already?
that.
7 years?
Holy crap.
I'm excited. Can't wait.
A lot of people are building bikes. Thank you for those of you who are focusing in on it. And even for those of you who haven't got a start on it yet, do it now. You still got a lot of time. It's like 2 months, right? And change. You got August to September, mid-September. You got 2 months.
You think it's enough time?
I know.
Start now.
Shit. It took me like fucking a month to like change a chain.
Yeah.
I've got like a I've got a carburetor. If I had one and an air cleaner that just needs a slide on. That it's been sitting. Yeah, I think when you focus in, if you take your time, it could be weeks. If you got to get it done, you'd be surprised when you could do it in an hour or two, right?
Yeah.
So jam on it and get a buddy. Just get a 6-pack of beer, do whatever else you do, and have fun, because that's what Mini Bike's all about. So hopefully we'll see you, as well as you get a chance to meet Evil Ed. Look, Evil Ed. Ed continues his autograph signing tour. This one's going out to Gerald, a good friend of ours, who built some awesome bikes. In fact, that trike that Gerald has.
Yeah, I like that. That's nice. Came out good.
What does a guy like Jake Moe think when he sees that custom bike like that?
Man, it's just, you can tell all the little details and all the work he puts into it. Gerald's like one of those guys that looks at every little part and little detail and just makes it, once it all comes together, it's like one of a kind, it's a little different than the rest.
He's
He's awesome at what he does.
He's religious about it.
Right.
I mean, he's going deep into it. He's not making a tank. He's not dropping a dime. He's on the welds. He's not doing anything unless he's thought it out, planned it out.
Too.
Yeah, and he's good friends with Temecula Bob. I invited both of those guys to come on the podcast, maybe call in. So maybe that's a future opportunity for us. This shirt is going to Gerald, and then I've got a couple other shirts that are going out to my buddy Joe Boussard, and we've got some leftovers from last year. The 2017 Joe's Minibike Reunion. Ed, yours are sold out, but we've got these, and look, Ed, $15 includes shipping and handling in the U.S. only.
Can't beat that.
So all those girls who love you in Guam, they got to pay the postage, baby. All right, so Jake Moe, I walked out the door and I saw something that looked a little bit different than what I had dropped off to you months back. The Micro Roberto, which is the micro frame Temecula Bob two-piece.
Yep.
Do a visual walk around. I know E captured a little bit of video and photos. He'll have them up there for you. But I dropped it off. It was rolling. We had like a stock motor in there, some little elbow pipe I had from, I don't know, where did I get that off of Amazon. I don't even think I had a little intake or a different carb on it. I don't know if that was stock, but I didn't give you a ton.
Right.
And the clutch brake was off or on. And it was somewhat a shape of disarray. And then what'd you do to it, man? It looks so nice. That tank, I'm dying.
Yeah, the Micro Roberto, when I first got it, it was, it was a bare frame. And, you had the 79cc motor on there and just some bolt-on parts. So I pretty much just went through. First of all, I made a new tank and a new seat because that was right off the bat. I knew it needed those.
Yeah, I had on some.
Had like some, yeah.
And it was a smaller seat, but it was still too big.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
awkward. And then what did I have? Did I have a tank?
Yeah, you had a tank on there. I don't know if it was like zip tied or whatever, but it was on there. Yeah, but
probably zip tied.
Yeah. I mean, he just wanted to get it running, and
I just wanted to go down the driveway, or down the road like I did earlier.
Yeah, I needed a little bit of tuning. The clutch brake was a little off, so it needed some adjustment. I had to re-drill some holes and change some stuff around, but
yeah,
got it working real nice now. Upgraded the chain, went through the carburetor, fixed the jetting because it was a little off. Yeah, new tank, new seat. I did some. I Scotch-Brighted the hell out of the frame and the tank and made all the metal look real nice, and just put a nice metal finish on it. Yeah, the tank came out real good. Thank you.
I don't even know how you would describe the shape. It looks like something like a pentagram, a hologram. It has so many cool little shapes.
Yeah.
What were you thinking when you crafted that? Was it just to follow the flow of the bike in your view, or were you...
the base of it, I just kind of wanted it to follow the frame, but I didn't want to do just a regular squared off tank, So I had the roper was sitting there, and it kind of inspired me a little bit. It kind of has the same.
Now that you say that, remember the old Sears ropers? Jake's got that blue one.
Yeah,
it's a little different. That one slopes up towards the back. This one has more of a slope towards the front.
Yes.
But I got a custom little fuel cap bung with aluminum cap. It's vented, so I TIG welded that on. The bottom has a nice little 1/8 inch, NPT bung on the bottom.
Yep.
And then it has this part I really like. It's the fuel exit, but it has a filter screen, and then it has the little knob for on and off all in one. So it's kind of cool. You can
had in that Papoose.
Yep.
It's like on that Black Widow, those style, those Delorto carbs. Sometimes they come with them. Those are nice because you really get to catch all the goo.
Yeah. So
idiot-proof lever.
Some guys, like on a basic bike, it'll have the little outlet for the fuel. Then it'll have a fill filter. Then it'll have a shut off. And that's all in line. This piece just eliminates.
It's clean,
all that.
isn't it?
Yeah. One piece and all, and then you can just run a line from
twist off and on fuel. Love those.
Exactly.
The grips. Let's face it.
Yep.
It's even like a car. You ever notice? You have a really nice car, but if the steering wheel, like we looked at a bunch of SUVs, right? We got in a Mercedes because my wife got in there and grabbed that steering wheel, and it felt like $1 million. We looked at an Infiniti, which was priced similarly, had a V6, but when you got in the car, it felt like a fucking Corolla steering wheel. Immediately changed the perception of the car. It's the same thing on a motorcycle, even more intimately, because there's so much of it. Mini bikes take on a whole different, I'm telling you, change the grips on your bike and you'll find out. Mini bikes take on a whole different feel with cool grips. Those grips are awesome. What are they?
They're like a Bitwell chopper bobber style grip. Yeah. I just seen them on there. They're for the 7/8 bars, so I thought they had a cool design, kind of match the rest of things. You know, a little crisscross, kind of like the seat. So
Love it. Love
They
it.
feel good. They look good on the bike. They kind of, you know, they fit it just right.
Thank you.
But yeah, one more thing with the,
Sure.
the biggest thing with that bike, and then your other bike that I just did for you, the Temecula Bob frame.
Yeah,
and,
that longer
you know,
cruiser.
yeah,
Yes.
just anything Temecula Bob does, if you're starting with that, it's gonna, you know, it's
Makes it a
just
little easier.
Perfect base to start off with. Yeah, so he doesn't, you know, spare anything when it comes to his frames and stuff. It's all real nice stuff. So it's nice to work off of something like that. So
Yeah. What do they say? Gold
they
in,
ride
gold
great.
out.
They ride awesome too.
Shit in, shit out. You know, it's whatever you put in is really what's. And he is, as a result, going to be inducted in the Joe's Minibike Reunion class of 2018,
Yeah, well deserved.
along with Ray from
Mitchurina.
Little Indian. Yes, Mitchurina. And I understand that, in fact, my buddy Calman Carisi, who we'll speak to shortly as we kick off the
Helmet.
Yeah, Joe's Minibike Reunion All-American Minibike Roll Call. Calman tells me that he had talked with Ray's son, who suggested that they may be coming out, which I would have thought. And
Cool to get a lot of these guys out here, you know.
guys in his mid-80s for him to come out here and get a handful of.
I've been trying to get this guy out here for years.
Oh, well, we'll have a chance to talk to him. So, so Jake, talk a little bit about two things quickly as before we get into the roll call. And once again, I want to thank our sponsors, Pioneer, our friends from Studs, Power Sports. Eric put on another good event, Candyman Extravaganza. There's another event in Ubli, and I think that I may have a chance to talk with my buddy Brad
You've been to it,
DeMoisy.
right?
Ubli?
Yeah.
No.
So Brad's going to give us maybe some insight about that. I want to thank you, our friends from GoPowerSports.com. Showing the love?
Give me that shirt.
Love that shirt.
Yeah.
That's my shirt, I think.
Just a suggestion to our friends at GoPowerSports.com on the shirts. Jake?
Buy a size up.
Buy size up. Buy size up. I've been sitting around getting fat, Ed. This is an extra large and it's tight on me. Don't start laughing at me in front of the viewers.
I didn't want to say nothing.
I know.
I'm glad you brought it up.
Thank you. Oh, I always get a little bit nervous about what shirt to wear. And I should have just went with the Pioneer
I
Oak
seen him having a
standby.
hard time. He was going through his other shirts.
Yeah,
over there.
well, you know what I was doing? No, you know what I was doing there? I was trying to be nice. I was, you know what? I bet I got one in there that I could give away to Jake. It's like, nah, fuck them. Everyone I went through, I liked. So you get a
Gave
chance
me
to go
plenty.
through. Yeah. Well, anyways, I do have a handful. The one that's worth the most is the one I could care less about. Is the Taco uniform shirt.
There you go.
I'll give that away in case anybody buys a bike. Anyways, want to thank our friends from Tim Iskey. So
Iskey.
Tim.
I love him. He just filled a nice order for us on some work that we're doing on the Joe's Minibike Reunion giveaway bike. FMB, well, hell, you guys know more than anybody. So that bike is, hopefully have some photos of that maybe at some point to share. We're working towards that being done to be given away at this upcoming event. I want to thank our friends from CRC. Obviously.
Knock her loose.
Studs.
Yeah. So thanks, sponsors. Jake, on the West Coast, we have weather working in our advantage. Mini bikes are really big out here, like in other states, but particularly here on the West Coast. You've been not only building some of the hottest bikes in this scene on the West Coast, but I also see now that they're going nationally. But you're now producing events. You've had your hand in what really was a neighborhood gathering gone semi-organized to legitimately an event that has a following and is sought out. When's the next one?
A big event that won't be organized.
like all those successful ones, right? But Ed, you'll be going as well for the first time.
The first time Sunday. Yeah, I'm going to bring 2 bikes.
What are you going to bring?
West Bend powered Bonanza, early one, lightning bolt badge.
Love it. The one that we went on the
And
parade
I'm gonna
with.
Bring the MX with the Intech 6.5 on it.
Ooh, which one will you break out
That's
first?
your rider there.
I was going to think. Yeah.
I'm going to bring the MX out first.
Sure. And then maybe do a little cameo with the little Power Products
Yeah, I got.
lawn
You
mowing,
got that thing running good though.
ear biting that thing.
Yeah.
I
they
seen
go-
it before. It looked kind of touchy, and now the last video you posted started right up, ran fine,
Yeah, it
idle.
did.
Yeah.
You
Nice.
remember when
Get
the
it
tree
dialed in.
fell in your backyard and you had to call that guy and that fucker showed up early in the morning and he barked out that first chainsaw? That's Ed.
Ring.
That'll be Ed out there.
Yeah.
Well, look, I can't ride. So I didn't want to go because I didn't want to be tempted. And I've been ragging on you all these podcasts to go, but now so I'm not 100% out. But that event, what date is it?
It's just coming up Sunday, the 19th.
Okay, so for those of you who have bikes that are running and are within traveling distance to, when we say AV, we're talking about the Antelope Valley, or maybe more pointedly off the 14. If folks want to find out, Jake, a little bit more without like talking to you directly, what basic information can you give them about? I know Wheels Up
might be listening.
Yeah,
Wheels Up at 9 usually, isn't it?
Yeah, we start out at 9. We usually ride out around like 10. We get there at 9. Everybody sets up. Everybody talks. Kind of, we push our bikes up to the aqueduct and, get ready. Check out each other's bikes. It's actually a pretty fun time before the ride.
Kind of like the weigh-in before the UFC fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Get everybody worked up and excited, and then
I love that. I had a couple of donuts.
Yeah. Rolls around like 10 o'clock. First bike starts up, and then they all start up, and we take off.
Well, we kind of stage, right? You stage them up nicely for photo ops along the aqueduct. You're going to love that, Ed.
Yeah,
You'll be signing autographs there. See, here you go again. More fucking Facebook likes. So you can be bitching about that. And it's going to be good.
We document it good. We take a lot of pictures and post a lot of different stuff on it. So it's a fun time to come out, and you'll definitely be seen after the ride. We take a lot of pictures. You can go on the Built Minibikes or my Instagram and check it out afterwards. Okay,
so one more time for those folks who want to find out more information.
Who's this one for?
I'm going to autograph this one, Ed. This is the last Evil Ed personal mini bike T-shirts, and you're going to autograph this one if you don't mind, Ed. And Jake, I'm going to give it to you. It's an XX large. What? I'm going to give it to you to give away.
Oh, cool!
At the event.
Awesome.
So look. Here's how it goes with these shirts. You may be like a small and win an XXL. You'll find somebody to give it to if you want. But if it's signed by Evil Ed, I would just keep it as a collectible.
Hang it on the wall.
Yeah, so Ed will sign this, and Jake give that away. And you know what? I've got a helmet or two that we'll make available. Let's see what we got here. We're going to give away a helmet.
Cool.
To somebody at your discretion that you think deserves a helmet. This is provided by our friends over at Honda Glendale as well. So you got that in a shirt to give away. I've been on these rides before, guys. I bounced off. What exit was it off of the 14?
Avenue S.
Avenue S. Yep. If you're coming north on the 14th, you hook a left off Avenue S, take it down, and right before you hit the aqueduct, you'll turn down a little gravel road. You'll see the folks there. There's a little convenience store on the left. You'll know you're there. Get there about 8:15. Meet a friend. Bring donuts. Ed likes the pink frosted donuts. Jake, what do you like?
Whatever.
All right.
Basic glaze.
And I have to give a shout out to the Green Hornet, who's always out there. Who usually? D's got some bearing issues. He's got a couple screws loose, but it's
we'll fix them up. We do every time.
Midge, I thought Midge'd be here. Every time I see you, you're with him.
Oh yeah, I told him to come, but he has work. He got called in late, so.
Midge, you continue to do a good job working with Jake on the prowl for all those cool bikes you see on Built Mini Bikes. Yep. There's a ton of other guys that go out there. Dan had a cool little badass bike that he did a good job building. You'll see a ton of other folks, and Evil Ed will be there. So look, if you ever want to have a chance to see Evil Ed's bikes,
ride with the over 60 crowd.
Ride with the over 60 crowd. Who knows? You'll have a good time, and I may even show up. Maybe not. We'll see what's happening. Hey, I want to get to the roll call, but Jake, start us off. How would you describe the mini bike scene briefly in Southern California? Like, I'll ask you. I see the stable of bikes you have. You've got a variety of custom bikes, but like you're always riding around in your Roper.
Yep.
With your little Honda clone motor. What's on that thing?
Yeah, actually, I took the Honda out and I put just a regular Predator in it now.
Okay, so you got a hopped up Predator like the rest of us. You're on an old school.
Yeah, it's just got I think I had a Isky Mamba Junior cam on the shelf. I threw that in there and did a pretty good port work and valve job and stuff on it. Put a little manifold with the carb. And it actually runs really good. I mean, it's not like super fast, but it's a great rider. It has a lot of great mid-range torque, and
you're leading the pack usually whenever we're breaking out. We do like those little 4-on-4, 5-on-5 races.
Everybody's surprised. They see that heavy tank, and that thing will actually, get up and do 60 pretty easy.
You can tell when there's a fast bike. Everybody else wants to ride it. You ever notice everybody wants to ride the Roper?
That's the cool thing about the ride too. Everybody gets out there and everybody rides each other's bikes and just hangs out. Even there's sometimes there's guys out there that don't even have bikes and they just kind of hang out and guys. Like Alfredo will be letting everybody ride his bike and people jumping on and off.
Yeah, not so much with cars because nobody really wants to let you get behind the wheel of their car, especially when they got all that money in there. But motorcycles kind of lend themselves to
certain guys.
Take it for a ride.
Guys, they don't care. But
Fredo's one of those cool guys that you'll meet out there. He also, he's got some pretty fast bikes that he brings out.
Yeah, he's into the sport pretty good.
So you're kind of in like a custom, or not a custom, but somewhat Jake Moe custom roper with a standard modified Predator. Other guys are riding within the group. I see a lot of GTS frames.
Yep.
There'll be some Bonanzas out there. There'll be obviously some Temecula Bob bikes. What other frames? Some
There's
F&D
actually
bikes?
not too many Bonanzas out here.
Really?
Besides like yours. I don't see too many Bonanzas on the rides.
Yeah, Ed's definitely the man on the
I know
Bonanzas.
Rafa brought out his Bonanza one time.
Yes, that was very popular.
You see a lot of tacos, a lot of GT's frames. Those are just a great overall frame. So a lot of guys have those. What else? There's
any tacos?
Yeah, Irving's got his little tacos.
Yeah.
You got to see about Irving. Check him out. He'll be out there. Yeah. So I guess what we're getting at is that
some rups and stuff like that.
Yeah, I haven't seen
every now and then.
Yeah, every now and then, but it's more custom frames.
Yeah,
really
a lot of custom
out here
stuff
on the West Coast with Predators, and we're riding pretty much pavement. Although at AV, you'll notice that not only are there awesome long straightaways.
That's why I'm bringing the MX
Streets. You'll love that. With a little suspension, little
suspension.
But they've got the streets of San Francisco if you want to go nuts, and then you hook a right, dude. You go off roading.
Oh, there's dirt for days. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have some dirt tires and an air filter, or even just an air filter, you can
an
get
air
lost.
compressor. So that's pretty much reflective of our riding. It's heavy street, pavement, asphalt, hard surface. But then depending on like in the AV, you'll have a little desert. I don't know. As we look at the landscape, we talked earlier about some of the guys in Texas on the sand. We're going to see some guys from Wisconsin, which are running on grass and dirt. So we're going to get to some of those guys. And in a similar fashion, Jake told us a little bit about what he's into, some of the bikes and the types of bikes that are within some of the groups that he hangs out with. Now, in our group, how many folks on an average typically are on that ride? We get like, what do we get, 25?
Like 10 to 20, 25 sometimes, yeah.
So that's an idea of the group.
This one coming up, I think there's going to be a lot. Yeah. It's probably going to be one of the biggest ones, I think.
Yeah. Well, continued success with that.
Yeah.
And thank you for what you do, because it's not as easy as just putting a post on Facebook.
No.
A lot of people have questions.
You got to keep reminding people and
notice
answer all the questions. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and
got to throw it out there a little bit.
And then it comes in droves the 10, 20, 30 minutes, half hour before, where people are lost.
Yeah.
People thought it was the day before. And
the main thing with the ride, though, I don't want anybody to feel like, they can't come out there and ride. It doesn't matter. Like, there's enough area, and we all kind of hang out in one spot. We don't just ride off and leave everybody else. Like, if you want to ride and come back, I mean, there's people riding all over the place. So it's not like, you don't have to have a super fast bike. You bring whatever mini bike you have, even if it needs a little bit of work. We bring tools out and parts, and if somebody breaks down out there, we get them fixed up right away. It's fun. Everybody kind of comes together.
And there, what you just heard, folks, is literally why I love this guy. And another suggestion I have is that, like, Dane Walton brought out his pretty finished bike. I mean, that was way beyond finished amongst those of us who go out there. I mean,
it was dolled up.
But yeah, he's waiting, and he was still, troubleshooting the bike. If your bike's in that almost done mode, or maybe it's still got a little something going on, bring it out, because then you get Evil Ed's brain and you get Jake's ideas, and there's 50, 60 guys out there that would love to get you running.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the picture I posted with it was Rafa and D in the picture.
Yes.
And me and Rafa were working on D's bike. Yeah. It was kind of just like a good example of something that happened out there. We all just kind of come together and get it done.
No, I'm not suggesting you guys bring in a fucking roller with like an engine, like a Predator in a box.
Here, put this together for me so I can ride it.
If you ever want to see the wrath of
definitely come ready to ride. I mean, have your oil changed, have your stuff tightened up. Make sure if something's coming loose, Loctite it. Yeah. Because that ride's gonna vibrate.
Look, anything that's wrong with your bike,
it's a test to.
It's gonna come true. This is not volleyball. This is football. You're gonna get hit. You're gonna get tackled. You're gonna have to. Your bike's gonna have to hold its own. But don't worry. If you do get pounded and taken out by a big outside linebacker, your bike breaks down, there's somebody there to lift you up and fix you up and get you on the road. So in California, that's how we do it. Let's find out how you do it. We're gonna get my main man Calman Carisi on the line. Now Calman's working a night shift, and he's in Detroit. He works for Ford. Calman, I had met back on my roadkill
Ford.
gig.
Poor
Yeah,
guy.
well, you know, I can't hold it against him, right?
Poor guy.
The only Ford, I bought a Ford pickup truck. I owned an Explorer, and I won a Mustang, and I sold it. But, yeah, he's been at Ford for a really long time, and I met him at the Roadkill event. In fact, the most recent Roadkill nights just took place at Woodward. And obviously, it wasn't as much fun because I wasn't there. But
Just recently, right?
Yeah, just recently. No, but they had a great time, and Hot Wheels was out there celebrating an anniversary, and they had a really cool backdrop of Hot Wheels.
So I think Kalman had his bike.
And I think Emmanuel's going to be able to give us a visual. But Kalman hangs out, and like a good mini bike representative, he was the only mini bike there out of hundreds and hundreds of cars. And when he rolled his mini bike up, the folks over at Hot Wheels just fell in love with it. Let's see what we got here.
Hot Wheels mini bike.
I think he calls that Psycho Banana or something.
Hey, how you doing?
Kalman
Kalman.
Carisi, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
How's your night, Kalman? Did you just get off work?
Yep, I'm in the driveway.
All right.
Well, you got the window down and you got the lighter out?
Yeah.
It's all right. Hey, Cal, you came off a nice little weekend at Roadkill Nights. The Psycho Banana was a big hit with the guys over at Hot Wheels, and I'm sure with the crowd. How much fun was that?
Oh, it was cool. It was a real cool show. It's a bunch of different cars from all different states, Canada. It was kind of cool to go to the car show, and I was the only mini bike there.
Cal, for those folks who haven't had a chance for whatever reason to get their eyes on the Psycho Banana, briefly tell folks what that bike's all about.
It's a drag mini bike. It was a Nitro 44 frame that I customized. Everybody saw the video when we first met at Norwalk. This was the first time I met you. And you did that crazy video that we got like millions of views. Had a guy in the Ukraine that wanted to race me, but demographically, he couldn't get to me.
Ukraine.
It's crazy Ukrainians.
What?
Yeah.
You always steal the show. I know with that bike, when we went to that pre-roadkill party at that bar, I mean...
Yeah, Bailey's. Bailey's, the 6-second cars, and they said I couldn't come if I didn't have a parachute, so I took a rocket parachute and put it on my back of my bike.
Hell yeah.
And,
Hell yeah.
they took the shit out of it.
Well, I dig the shit out of you, Cal. You've been one of my friends from another state, one of my true original friends. When you were so nice to me as a host when I went back there to Michigan, put me through the paces, introduced me to all your buddies.
Yep, and then we were down in Memphis with Justin Wilcox. Remember him?
I sure do. Yep.
Yeah, I was supposed to give a report on him. So that's my report on him. He's working too. He works the night shift, and Minibike just drove down the street here. Isn't that apropos? I bet
catch him.
He had no lights on, no helmets, and flip flops, and he was smoking. Hey,
No, he had lights on and everything, man. It was crazy. Wow.
Hey, Cal, so recently there have been a lot of events. I know that there was the Candyman Extravaganza. You just got back from the Roadkill Nights out at Woodward. Ubli's coming up. Tell folks a little bit about the typical scene in Detroit. You know, the types of bikes, what you guys, where you typically ride. I know it's a lot of street racing there, or not so much street racing, but street riding. But
yeah, it's like every weekend there's a different major road that they have like a cruise on it for a weekend. Like during the Studs Candyman show it was Telegraph Cruise night, so we were riding our mini bikes up and down Telegraph. This weekend we got the Woodward Cruise. We got people coming from all different states to cruise down Woodward Avenue. We do a lot of street riding. There's a lot of drag racing scenes. We got these secret locations where we drag race at.
That was pretty cool. When I was back there, that was one of those secret locations, wasn't it? We were off that, looked like a commercial road, a lot of trucks coming, but it seemed like within minutes.
Yep, industrial drive by the airport, you usually don't get messed with, and sometimes it gets abused, and we usually get thrown out. And then we'll find a new location.
Hey, Cal, when it comes to the specific bikes that have some popularity there, that's a pretty strong town for Ruttmans and for Little Indians, wouldn't you say?
Yep. There's a lot of Ruttmans, Harrisons, Heat Kits. It's a wide variety. And then you get the guys that are customizing them, taking bikes and putting two together. Like the guy that has Airbug, he took a mini bike and put a shifter motor and an airbag on it. And it's a wide variety. It's like I even still have the bike my parents gave me when I was 10 years old.
What was that, Cal?
It was a Ruttman Toad.
Nice. I love my Ruttmans. Yeah. We're working on one now that we may be giving away at the upcoming show. Speaking of, you have an open invitation to come out, and I'd love to see you there. And I know that you and I were talking about maybe coming up with some kind of a plan. But give us, as we kind of finish up here, give us the latest that you can with regard to the potential of maybe Ray coming out from Little Indian to accept his Hall of Fame award.
I did get a text from his son, Glenn, and he said that he is going to make it out there. And I hope he does, because I love my Little Indian. I've been restoring them. I turn them into hot rods, and I turn them back into originals. I get guys my age that want to buy them from me at a good price. So if you find that rich guy that wants his childhood mini bike, it's a great thing to do. And I usually take a turd from a swap meet and make a gem out of it.
Yeah, I've seen your bikes, Cal. You do an outrageously good job. We'd love to see you out here come October the 13th. If folks want to find out about, maybe there's some local folks within the Michigan area that for whatever reason haven't been able to get out and ride. If folks would like to maybe get to know some other mini bikers, what would you suggest? What's a good way for them to get in touch with the local Detroit mini bike scene? Would it be the Facebook pages, or are there websites?
Facebook pages, Michigan mini bike scene. There's I like Minibike Nation. I like all the Facebook sites. I meet some really good people from across the country, like Chris Nelson. You're going to have on the show later. I met him at Detroit Autorama 2017. He was in the basement. I was upstairs. Ran into him. He had the same kind of bike as me. Cool guy, really nice guy. I know he's enjoying his retirement too, so he's having a good time. He's always inviting me out there to Wisconsin and that area to go to the White Knuckle Scramble and all that stuff. And one of these days I'll make it out there to one of his events.
Well, it sounds like you're a pretty sought-after guy. We want you in California. They want you in Wisconsin. The only person that I know that didn't want you was your wife, but you're with her now, so I'm going to let you go, Cal.
Yeah, bye. Everybody have a great night. Great chatting with you. See you guys in October, all right?
See you, Calvin.
See you, Kelman.
Thank you.
Yep, see you guys later.
Good night, Calman. What a cool guy.
Later.
See, so that's kind of what I'm going for. Now, that one, how long were we on that one, E?
10 minutes. 8.
So I'll try to shorten it up, but they got a lot going on there, and Cal has had a lot going on. Let's take a second, and let's reach out to... So there's the state of Michigan. Now,
Michigan.
I'm going to try to get to Brad DeMoisey because Brad is going to Ubly, which is upcoming this weekend.
Let's ask him if it's Ubly or Ubly.
Well, that'll be the first question. But first, I want to get to another state.
Ubly.
And I'm going to hit.
Ubly.
I'm going to hit up Chris Cirillo, who is representing New York. Let's go here. 835. The mini bike scene where Chris is. It's like starting to get a little traction.
Chris
Cirillo.
Cirillo.
Yeah. Everybody's last name ends in a vowel out there.
New York?
What do you think? Hey, yo. Hey, you see I'm talking over here?
Right. Other side of the world.
Hello?
Hey, Chris, this is Joe from Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast. Can you hear us?
Oh, hey, how you doing?
Hey, we're doing good. Thanks for making some time for us. How you doing over there in New York? What's it, about 11 o'clock over there?
Yeah, probably. What time is it? Yeah, just about.
Welcome to the show, Chris. Nice to meet you.
Nice to talk to you.
Hey, so tell us a little bit about where in New York are you located? Kind of, is it a specific city or state that you're representing? Or a specific area within New York?
I live in Long Island, which is on the same island as like Brooklyn and Queens. And then as you go further out on the island, it's a little more suburban.
What's it like over there with the mini bike scene? Is it a lot of guys that have had their mini bike from childhood, or is it a lot of guys building custom bikes? What's it like out there?
So for right now, actually, it's just kind of getting started. They have a show in my area once a month. Some guys put together, and for the most part, it's I'd say it's probably mostly guys with like restored bikes, older bikes. Some guys had it since they're, it's a mixture of all different things. You got a few guys that have some custom bikes, like me myself. I'm more into like the drag style bikes and stuff like that. And a few guys that go there are into that stuff, and then you have the guys who just, either keep things original or, restore some of the older bikes.
What kind of bike do you have, Chris?
I actually have two bikes right now. One is a Rupp, I believe it's a Speedster, and the other one is just a Motovox frame that I modified, and it has, it's set up for drag racing, like it has a modified engine and clutch and everything like that.
What kind of engine are you working on? What kind of engine do you have on those bikes?
I'm pretty heavy into racing go-karts, so basically we pretty much use all the Briggs Animal stuff.
Sure.
Because that's what we use on the go-karts. So the mini bike has a long rod Briggs Animal with a CNC ported head, some other things in it, and a Tilliston carburetor, runs on methanol.
Oh, yeah. And, so you're at a 60-mile-an-hour bike, 60, 70-mile-an-hour bike, somewhere around that range?
Yeah, it'll break 70.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, say hi to Evil Ed and Jake Moe. I'm not sure if you've heard of those guys in the past.
No, I haven't actually, but hello.
What's up there,
What's up, Chris?
How you doing?
Pretty good, man.
Hey, Chris, you were talking about some of those other vintage bikes, and you also mentioned the show. What was the name of that local show that seems to be getting a little bit of momentum?
It actually just stems from a Facebook page that some guys set up called Long Island Minibike and Go-Karts, and pretty much they just advertise on there. And,
sure.
It's basically a show that encompasses all Long Island, and guys from all over can come and show their stuff. Or they also, a lot of guys sell some stuff there, and it's just, once a month when people can get together, I try to make it as much as I can, and it's a pretty good time.
Are you into cars too? Most guys that are into mini bikes are also into hot rods.
Well, my father used to race go-karts for many years, so I was into racing go-karts, and then in my 20s, probably, I got into cars. I had a few Mustangs and a Monte Carlo, and...
did you have a Monte Carlo? Did you have a 70s Monte Carlo, or did you have an 85 Monte Carlo SS?
No, it was an 86 SS.
See, I could tell. I had an 85. I ordered mine custom from Foothill Chevrolet, and I waited and fucking waited and I waited. And the guy, my sales guy, back when they were sales guys, he would call me up and say, "Hey, I got a Eurosport in. It's in the same color." It's like, look, it's bad enough I was getting an anemic 305 185 horsepower car.
Smogged out.
Then he's trying to swap me into a Eurosport just because to get me in the car. But I loved my Monte Carlo. Eventually, I leased the car, Chris. It was an 85 SS black with that ugly orange stripe kit they had on there. And it was leased. And I was working at Hot Rod Magazine at the time. And we took that whole drivetrain out, the 305. After I had nitrous on it, blew up all the valve guides. We trashed the stock engine. We put a 464 rat motor with a 9-inch rear end. This is a leased car. It was a fucking drag car. So by the time the lease was up, I obviously had to buy it. It was such a nice car. It was featured in Hot Rod. In fact, Chris, I'll make a note. I'll send you an issue or a copy of the issue that car was. It was called Jack's SS because they couldn't put my name on it because I worked at the company and they didn't want me to. Yeah, so it was Jack's SS, and it was a badass car. And now, Chris, those cars are selling for fucking $15,000. If you got one of those Aero Coupes, people are asking for like, more.
That and everything else.
Who would have ever thought? Hey, Chris.
Yeah, the price on the G bodies really went up over the years. Same with Fox Body Mustang.
You know what we should have done? We should have bought Grand Nationals, Chris. That's where we screwed up at the time. We should have.
I know, right? Well, I'm not that old. When I
Hey.
was already old, so we, the 305s. I got mine as a roller and just built the 355 for it.
Well,
so my generation really, we got them secondhand, but they were cheap when I was in high school, and we barely paid over $1,000 for any of them, and they were in pretty good shape.
Yeah, it reminds me of the days, and I'll kind of leave you with this. There was a time when I first moved here. It was the early 80s, and there was something called what was the newspaper? The Green Sheet?
Green Sheet Valley, Green Sheet.
Then there was that other one that was Recycler. The Recycler, right? So the Recycler, I remember before they even let you put those shitty pictures in there. But you would go by alphabetized. So you go to P for Plymouth, or I go to D for Dodge because I wanted to find a Duster or a Demon. I was an A-body freak. And you could buy them for $3,500, $2,500, $4,000 was crazy because that's what they went for new. And now they're $30,000 or $40,000. But at the time, and Chris, you also got into a lot of those F-body Mustangs, or those Fox body Mustangs, yeah, that came out around his time. That went through that first owner. Yep. Those were great buys.
Oh yeah.
Chris said,
Great cause.
look, see, we took a mini bike topic and turned it into a car show. Hey, Chris, thanks for representing Long Island. I want to wish you guys the best out there. Stay in touch, brother. Send me an email. Send me a text. I'll send you some junk. We got some decals. And if you've got some small enough events, like how many guys are going to that event? Like a handful of guys, 12 guys, 20 guys?
So the few times that I went there, probably one time there was maybe 45 guys there. And then it varies, it just depends if people can make it or not. But
well, we'll put together a little...
It's just starting to gain traction over here, especially with the drag racing of the mini bikes, which I know is pretty big in California and up in Detroit and stuff. So, I'm hoping to get more of that because I like building engines and racing people and winning. And, I hope that picks up steam over here.
Yeah, and while your interests remain going fast, stay with us on the podcast. I know it's a little late there. Charles Mini Drag Bike, Charles Mosley will be joining us. He's a mini bike builder extraordinaire. We've had Brian from F&B. They're doing a lot of high-performance engine building there.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about putting an engine into his contest.
Oh, that would be great.
Brad Hill.
Yeah.
Brad Hill, yeah, it's the one that Charles enters.
I'm affiliated with an engine builder out here who builds engines for go-karts. And me and him kind of got together and started building engines for the mini bikes, and we've been following Charles for a while on Facebook, and see some of the stuff he does looks pretty cool, but we'd like to throw our hand in the fire, so to speak, and see what we can do. Well,
why don't you keep us posted on some photos and some of the numbers on some of your builds, and we'll do what we can to help you spread the word out here through Joe's Minibike Reunion as well. Okay, Chris?
Yeah, sure. Sounds good.
Hey, thanks for finding some time for us. Enjoy the rest of your night. Have a good upcoming weekend, too, Chris. That's Chris from Long Island, New York. Another caller in the Joe's Minibike Reunion mini bike roll call. Yeah, see, when you see somebody's name in a state, you have a whole different perception. There's a lot of guys building hardcore mini bikes.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people want to go fast on these things. That's still amazing without really a place to go, for sure.
Yeah.
Most of the time they're going to be on the street. Ed, we're going to take one more call. We'll get in Vinny from Vinny's Minis. If we'll take two more calls, you mind, Jake? So I'm going to get Vinny Kuko. Is it Kudo or Kudo? We'll find out.
I think.
Yes. When did he change his name? Probably recently.
I think when he
was born.
To be my friend.
Oh, well, a lot of people do
Facebook.
that. So we're going to call Vinny from Vinny's Minis, and then we're going to call Isaiah Gibbs, representing
3G.
Yeah, 3G out in Louisiana, and so first we'll go to Florida, and I think my man Vinny is in South Florida. 1563. Oh, excuse me, 561. 561. Now, most people see what all my 561 friends, they're all in the witness protection program. So we gotta watch what we say to Vinny. 4443. It's cheap down there, Ed. No one will find you. You get a bird, alligator, a pet. You blend right in.
That's what I told him when I first moved into my place in Pacoima.
What'd you tell him?
I said, I'm in the witness protection plan. Don't
Was that Bolger guy? Lady Bolger? That could be fucking Ed. Let's see what we got here. Vin, you there?
I'm sleeping.
Vin, you there?
Vinny.
Vin, can you hear us?
Hello.
Hi, Vin. Can you hear us? It's Joe, Ed, and Jake from Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast.
I can hear you.
How are you, Vin?
Okay, am I talking loud enough?
Yeah.
Hey, say hi to Evil Ed.
What's up, Ben?
I want to say hi to Ed first because he's just sitting over there.
That's what I get paid to do. That's what I get paid to do. Sit here.
We love the old guys and their stories. You know, Joe and I are probably the same age, and to have a guy like you sitting next to you is definitely a winning show. You know, Johnny Carson wouldn't have made it unless he had Ed McMahon. So.
Yep, I'm the Ed McMahon.
You're Joe's Ed McMahon.
Vin, thanks for.
Get you a funny laugh or something.
You got to get him an elbow deal, a dog food deal.
Give him a little horn or a bell to ring or something.
Hey Vin, thank you for staying up late. Now, where exactly in Florida are you? You're like south. You're South Florida.
I'm halfway down east of Lake Okeechobee. We're West Palm Beach area.
So, are you familiar with a little place, Singer Island?
Singer Island is walking distance from where I am. I can walk over to the beach if I had to, but, you know, I got my motorcycle, so I just scoot around on that.
He's right by my friend Jake Douglas.
Is the Tierra still over there?
The pier?
The Tierra.
Tierra.
Yeah.
That's what is that, a restaurant or something?
It's a really nice high-rise condo right there on Singer Island.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah.
They go up every day. Every time you go down there, someone rich is building a building.
By now, some poor people are probably building them too. So, Vin, tell us a little bit about the mini bike scene. Let's start off a little bit about you. You've got Vinny's Minis, where you do a variety of things mini bike related. Tell folks a little bit about what you've got going on there.
Okay, well, I started off. It's really, I tell all the guys, it's just a page, really, not a group. I wasn't trying to get a whole bunch of people to start liking. I like a nice small group. We can all follow each other and talk and discuss things. So I just started the page. The mini bikes just started coming along about 5 years ago. When of course, I lost two houses I had here in Florida, and the banks got me on a remodification loan. So I lost both houses, and I decided to get me a nice big garage with an office in here and just have fun. I have a handyman business, but on the downtime, I gotta keep the hands moving, so I love the old mini bikes.
Great story. And how are things going since you took that idea and that passion and actually put it in motion?
Well, it keeps trying to take off, and unfortunately, it grows too fast for me because I'm by myself. I don't have a group of guys that are into it like I am. I do have a group of friends, and they're very handy. Everybody's got a trade, and they like to hang out, and we like to do the man thing. So I always put everybody to work, and they lend a hand. So, but nobody ever wants to build a bike or go on a drive or anything like that. Of course, I'm 54. You can't find too many guys willing to just jump on a little mini bike and go riding. So.
Yeah, we're all kind of shaking our head up and down, almost in a similar feeling. But that's what makes us unique, right?
Yeah. Well, I see the beginning of your show when you're coming down your driveway on your chopper, and that brings back some memories. That's how I was. If I made it down the street without the police getting me, I'd pull in my driveway safe with a big smile on my face,
Yeah, it was a night well spent. But most of I guess the times we had that were the most fun were the times that we did get chased. Back when I grew up in upstate New York, and when that was somewhere around the early 70s, all they did was try to scare you a little bit. They would slap a cigarette out of your mouth if you were like 9 years old, riding a mini bike with no lights at night, smoking. They didn't like that, but they didn't do what they do now.
I don't know if you've seen any of the picture. I always post it all the time of my picture when I was 11 years old. I had a Bronco, the little Italian mini bike. It had a 4-horse Tecumseh on it, as I can see in the pictures. I didn't know when I was 11 years old it was a 4-horse Tecumseh.
That was a pretty studly bike for you for that age.
Yeah, it was 1976, I believe. That was my first mini bike.
Did you have parents that didn't like you, Vin?
Yeah, it's funny because my dad wasn't very mechanical, but he did. From being up north in Massachusetts, where I'm from, we started off with. We had an old Arctic Cat snowmobile that my dad kept going, and we used to put the rope around it. Started up was a 68 Panther, and we kept that thing going. And I learned, and of course, the mini bikes during the fall and the spring, summers, get right into the woods.
Yeah, I remember when the first
woods, you know.
when that first warm month would come out, the first thing you would do is go down to your stinky basement if you're living on the East Coast.
You couldn't wait. Even with some snow on the ground, you
Who-
had to get out there.
Hey, Vin, if let's just say that some folks are somewhere within ear distance to maybe that part of southern Florida on that East Coast, maybe the Pompano, Fort Lauderdale, maybe the Miami. We've had some guys in the past that are even further south. We've had some folks that were Orlando, Tampa, Daytona. What if someone would maybe like to just get a hold of you? Maybe they got a bike that's just stalled. Needs to get
Yes, I am spreading out. There's a couple guys. Mason Ivy is close by. He's taking care of engines, so I got an engine guy. Of course, as you can tell, I'm not an engine guy. My thing is I scoop up all the edgers I see online, and I get a lot of parts off the edges. I cut the engine plates off. I use the different parts off the edgers like that, and then I put the motors up on the shelf, so whenever I have a problem, I just rate the other engines. So there's no sense for me rebuilding this. If something happens to a motor, I just go on the shelf and I grab another one. But of course, I don't build any racing bikes. All mine are mostly theme bikes and good running, affordable bikes, so that I can resell them, so the kids can enjoy it. I don't want the mini bikes ending up in the junkyard. You know, it's a bad thing to see that. You see a kid with a smile on his face once he jumps on one of these. There's nothing like it in the world. Of course, I have a son. He's 22 now. He still has his mini bike that I bought for him when he was 11.
What was that, Vin?
That's the old hog tie.
Sure.
Kind of like the Warrior, but it's got the monoshock in the front. We still got it going. I put a Honda GX200 on it, and I got him a Warrior type seat and a sissy bar, and I rounded off the tenders a little bit.
Well, send us some pictures of that.
Yeah, well, I try to, I go from that picture to that, and there's so many. In the 5 years I've been building, I would say I'm probably up to around between 40 and 50 mini bikes.
And growing strong.
So,
if folks want to get a hold of you, Vin, what would be a good way for them to get a hold of you?
Well, I got and Facebook, it's www.facebook.com, The Vinny's Minis.
So it's The Vinny's Minis, and spell it out for them.
The VINNYSMINIS.
Well, Vinny,
just get me on Vince Cuco.
we'll try the Vinny's Minis on Facebook. And
yeah,
folks, if you're in Southern Florida, or if you're in the state of Florida and you'd like to maybe just swap some stories, maybe you've got a little bit of assistance you can use, check them out. Vin, thanks for making some time for us. We'll catch you on the next Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Sure. Bill Moon makes beautiful seats. Go Power Sports put me on their VIP list.
You like my shirt?
We all love Go Power shorts. I got a Grey Goat shirt from Eric from OMB. He's a good guy. He's always helping. Blaine's on board now over there. Of course, Tom Jazwicki, our ID guy. I'm always bugging him for IDs, and he's such a good sport.
Simple Tom.
Tom's great. In fact, Ed, you'll be happy to know that he got your hat.
Oh, he did, huh?
Of course, and there's Chris Scott from Major League Minibikes and BMX. He's always sharing my stuff. Lots of sharing. Everybody likes their stuff to be shared.
I like that guy too, Chris. I think he's from Buffalo.
Yeah. He's just a good guy. He's putting some funny stuff on there, and it's whenever you're on there, you see something funny or good to look at. So that's what it's all about. Everybody likes to be noticed and and put their name up. That's why I try to show everyone's bike and give it a little spruce. I add some text to it and stuff like that. All
right, Ben, we're going to let you go. Thanks for being a part of the All-American Roll Call representing the state of Florida. Vinny Cuco.
See you, Vinny.
Vinny's Minis. Yeah. A pleasure to talk to him. And as he suggested, he's full of passion and vinegar. You should get your own podcast, Vin. You would be great. Give it a try. Thanks for spending some time with us. We're going to reach quickly to our friends in Louisiana. Now, coincidentally, Jake, when I brought up Isaiah Gibbs, you thought a lot about this guy.
Yeah, I've been following him for a long time.
Tell us a little bit about him.
I mean, all the bikes he builds are just kind of one of a kind. They're real different. He uses lots of different parts and things, and he has flamethrowers on his bikes. He uses a lot of flatheads. Recently, I seen him use a little bit of overhead valve stuff, but I mean, everything he builds is just cool, one of a kind, one off,
I haven't
unique.
seen anything. Have you, Ed? He's new.
No, he showed me a video.
See, and that's
man.
the cool thing too, is that there's always somebody else out there.
He's been in the scene forever too. Like
maybe just not on social media a lot.
Yeah, maybe not so much with everybody, but I mean, I've been following him for a long time, and
Well,
I've sold him parts in the past.
You mind
a bunch of
taking
different
this
things.
call, Jake,
Yeah, sure.
and maybe finding out what's happening with him? Just hit the button and we should be good to go. So we're on the line now, and then we're going to hit our break. Is Isaiah from 3G Fabs, Isaiah Gibbs, representing Louisiana and a little bit of Mississippi. How are we doing over here?
Speaker.
Speaker?
Isaiah.
Hello? Hey.
Hey, what's up? It's Jake Mo.
Hey, come on, say hi, Jake.
How you doing, man?
I just sitting out here on my back porch with the alligators, petting my pet neutral rat. That's about it.
Sounds good, man. Yeah, I was just talking to Joe about, I've been following your bikes for a long time, and I was just telling him some of the different unique things that you do with your bikes and flamethrowers and all the cool stuff that I've been watching you do for years that I've always wanted to try. So,
right on, man. Cool.
Yeah, so we're just here on the state's roll call. That what do you call it, Joe?
We're calling it. What's happening, Isaiah? It's Joe and Ed.
What's up, Isaiah?
Not a whole lot, man. I was sitting here watching the podcast, and Jake started talking about me, and then it cut off. I'm like, oh, crap, I'm there.
Yeah, I think the timing's a little off, but
it's all that voodoo shit that's going on down there in Louisiana.
Yeah.
You ain't kidding. Y'all say a prayer for me, huh?
Yeah, we call it the All-American Minibike Roll Call. Really, all it is intended to do is have a chance for many of the listeners of the podcast to have a chance to hear the voices of some of our other mini bike enthusiasts in different states. This is our first attempt, and we've probably got about 8 or 10 states. We've had about 5 or 6 or 7 others trying to be a part of tonight's podcast, but it looks like we won't have a shortage of folks that are interested in talking about what the mini bike scene is in their state. And because Jake had a chance to already have a rapport with you, I thought we'd let Jake take his turn on the podcast and just find out a little bit about what's going on with you, what you ride, and maybe what happens with some of the guys in your scene. Where do you ride? How many guys go out? That kind of stuff. So I'll turn it over to Jake.
All right.
Hey, Isaiah, so I've been following you for a while, and it seems like, you've been riding for a long time, and then, as I watch you kind of grow, you kind of have quite a following now. So you have a lot of different guys that are riding with you now. Is that something that you guys, your brothers and 3G, can you tell us a little bit about how that came about?
Yeah, sure. Well, 9 years ago, we went to a rat rod show way down south Louisiana with some cages. We were the only mini bike there. Nobody else had a mini bike. And next year, there was 2 or 3. And then, it just evolved up now to where last year there was about 60 bikes there, and we had about 30 people racing. The kind of racing we do is in grass. We do circle track in grass, and we do about 300-foot drag racing in the grass. And, man, it started out, my youngest brother, he kind of got into it. Into building the bikes, and he's passed away now, Luke. But it's me, my brother Seth, he's listening to the podcast right now.
What's happening, Seth?
Brother Luke. And we just dove off into these mini bikes, and people started seeing them, and how cool they were at the shows, how much fun we was having, so they jumped on board, and it just grows and grows. And what's cool is I found a guy, Angelo, just 45 minutes from me, Chipper on OMB.
Oh, yeah, Chipper.
He's into this stuff, too. So we teamed up with him, and we have Mini Bike Mania in Lucedale, Mississippi, fast track out there. That's the actual go-kart track. And 3G, we do Swamp Stomp. That's the name of the show. We do Brittany Project. That one benefits a special needs home housing for special needs people. And we do the mini bikes. We pay whatever it is to go there for the entry fee, and all that money goes to help them. And it's been a real blessing to be a part of all this, And my youngest brother Luke dedicated all this work to 3G and to help us with missionary work in Madagascar. Me and my wife, we've been out there already because some of the radical bikes that we build, the full frame build, we walk around the yard, see what we got laying around, and put the pipe between a tree and push to bend our frame. It's whatever we can find laying around to build a bike. And, dude, it's been so much fun. Just got a lot of people jumped on board with it.
support us, and not just us, but we support each other. You know, like Texas Outlaw Mini Bikes, we love them guys. They're like family to us. Jake, I've been following you for a little while. I say a little while, for a long while, really. It's cool that this love is nationwide. You know, it's not just right here in this state or out there in your state. It's all over the place.
That's right, man.
Can't beat it, man. Can't beat it.
Yeah, it's a great thing. So I love your flamethrower that you have on your latest bike that you posted there. It's
yeah, the PP Bruiser.
how does that work?
Well, I spent about $300 trying to come up with the flamethrower that's cool and that works all the time. I got a spare coil that I bolted to the side of the motor where when the magnet comes around the flywheel, just like it sparks your regular ignition, it'll spark this coil. And you run a spark plug wire to the back of the exhaust, about an inch or two from the back, and put your plug back there. And the key to it is high RPMs. Get your RPMs up high, and since it's always firing, there's no switch, no on or off switch. But get your RPMs up high and choke it. When you choke it, you're going to shoot some flames.
It's great, man.
I got about 4 foot of flames out the back of it. The hotter the exhaust gets, the more better it's going to be.
Hey,
Yeah, man, I love that stuff, man. I've seen a few of your bikes now. You've had about 4 bikes with flamethrowers, right? 3 or 4?
This one's number 5.
5?
Yes,
Gotcha.
Yep.
It's great, man. I love your bikes, too. I mean, every little thing that you do, I've been following you. I mean, all your little details, the creativity. I mean, it's you're killing it, man. I love it. And
I appreciate that.
Hey, I have a question,
I've seen
Jake.
this one more time.
Yeah, where
Go
are these videos?
On his Facebook, right?
Yes, sir. 3G
Yeah.
Fabrications, or
3G
y'all
Fab.
send me a friend request. You know, it's on there too.
Great.
On my page too.
So you're shooting a 4-foot flame out of what? A 4-foot mini bike?
Yep.
Yeah, just about. It's all bricks, flathead. I got love for them flatheads, man. I just can't beat them.
Hey, I'll tell you what.
And I love them.
Well, we're going to find out how deep that love goes. To my right, looking over my shoulder, Isaiah, I'm not sure if you're able to see on the podcast, but we have
Yes, I did.
we have this. That's a 7 horsepower never run Briggs flathead.
It's brand new.
Nice.
And I've got
Cool, man.
a 5 horsepower that Jake modified for me that's in Frankenstein, which you're probably familiar with as well.
Yeah. I know the bike, yep.
That's about the extent of,
Right on.
of the flatheads hanging around here. But hey, look, how unique of a story, and I must say that it was really nice to hear just how deep your passion is about the bikes, but what you're doing, not only locally but in the world. I mean, man, we're at a whole different level in terms of what kind of attention these bikes are bringing to benefit so many people in a lot of different ways, and I love that spirit. Too bad about your brother, obviously.
Yes, sir.
And we ought to make you a little bit more of a regular on the show. We'll now know that we can see some cool flames coming out of the back of your bikes online. Jake Moe seems to give you the Jake Moe Good Housekeeping stamp of approval. I see Evil Ed smiling. Continued success, Isaiah. I'll let Jake say goodbye to you, and thank you for participating. Now, you go from Louisiana, but we also touch a little bit of Mississippi, too, right?
Yes, sir. We got a few events in Mississippi we do. Mississippi's about 45 minutes north of me and 2 hours east, and we travel, man, with this mini bike stuff.
What events are those, Isaiah? Do you have a... Yeah, what events are they?
In March, we got Swamp Stomp, first weekend of March in La Rose, Louisiana. That benefits Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Okay.
And they're the ones that helped us take the mission trip for 2 weeks to Madagascar in Africa.
Got it.
And the third week is Brittany's Project. That's in Franklin, Louisiana. That helps the special needs people. And the one in Mississippi is in Gulfport, Mississippi, called Atomic Blast. And it's all out wild rat rods, freestyle burnouts, and flamethrowers, and mini bike. We host the mini bike races there.
That's the one I'm going to.
And we do Bluesdale, Mississippi. That's Mini Bike Mania. Tom England, Angelo, and 3G. We helped put that one on. That's at George County Raceway. And shoot, man, we got more throughout the year, too, here and there.
Well, it sounds...
We do Minibike Mania twice. We do it in the fall also.
So you're doing something like every quarter, every 2-3 months. You seem like you got something going on down there, huh?
Yes, sir. Just about. And whenever we don't have something going on, we go to Texas Outlaw Minibikes and race with them.
Well, I'll tell you what. You've been a pleasure to have on. I want to thank you for spending a little bit of time with us. On behalf of Evelyn and Jake, thank you so much. It's 3G Fabs, Isaiah Gibbs. What a pleasure to have you on. Thanks for spending some time with us, Isaiah.
I sincerely appreciate it, man. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
See you, man.
Bye.
Yeah, he mentioned Tom England. That's Buckeye on OMB.
Yep.
Yeah, and you're familiar with those guys. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying this. We're going to try to streamline it a little bit. So for those of you who are next on the call list, this one's going to be a good one when we come back from the break. We're going to talk to Chris Nelson. You can hear some of the guys earlier talking about Chris. I think Kalman brought him up. He put on that Simcoe event that took place recently. He's representing Wisconsin. We're going to try to wake up Kyle Moody, and Ed's going to talk to him in Indiana. You hear Isaiah talk about the guys in Texas. I spent some time with some Texas mini bikers at Roadkill when I was out at the Roadkill Nights out in Tucson. And I have
big out there.
Yeah, I have a photo of them, and those guys were all about having fun. A lot of big frame, a lot of Colemans with modified Predators, big fat tire
big old
bikes.
Bajas.
Yeah,
I seen some guy propose to his wife in front of the mini
Oh
bikes.
yeah, I saw that too. So they're really into it. And my guys,
awesome.
My friends from GoPowersports.com, they're Texas. Okay, so we're gonna get with Mike Hughes if we can wake him up as well, and then we're gonna come to the West Coast. I know you're here and you've already given us a scene from your perspective. We're going to talk to MDB, and then we'll hook up with probably John Benet and maybe our buddy Nick Scara from the Arizona Minibike Riders with the Z. It's all that in a bag of tricks. Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast. We're going to take a break. We'll see you in about 10. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Is your car stereo a little outdated? Don't sell your car. Upgrade it. Get hands-free calling with Android Auto on the new Pioneer Next.
New from the makers of legendary Brake Clean, the Shop Size Brake Clean Pro Series. The larger Pro Size can has 50% more of the brake clean you've trusted for over 47 years. Also available in 3 non-chlorinated formulas.
Hi, I'm Joe Sebergandio. I've been crazy about mini bikes since I was a really young kid. You know, 50 years comes and goes pretty quick, yet my love and passion for mini bikes hasn't changed a bit. So cruise along with us in some of the coolest rides with some of the most colorful characters in this mini bike sport of ours, and check out some of the rarest collections and visit some of the top builders and some of the wildest bikes right here on Joe's Mini Bike Show.
Joe's Mini Bike Show.
Is your car stereo a little outdated? Don't sell your car. Upgrade it. Get hands-free calling with Android Auto on the new Pioneer Next.
New from the makers of legendary Brake Clean, the Shop Size Brake Clean Pro Series. The larger Pro Size can has 50% more of the brake clean you've trusted for over 47 years. Also available in 3 non-chlorinated formulas.
Hi, I'm Joe Sebergandio. I've been crazy about mini bikes since I was a really young kid. You know, 50 years comes and goes pretty quick, yet my love and passion for mini bikes hasn't changed a bit. So cruise along with us in some of the coolest rides with some of the most colorful characters in this mini bike sport of ours, and check out some of the rarest collections and visit some of the top builders and some of the wildest bikes right here on Joe's Mini Bike Show.
Joe's Minibike Show.
Fucker's stuck to my finger.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back from the break. You never know what's going on here. We were invaded by, was it a dragonfly?
I don't know what it was, but I tried to grab it and it's stuck on my finger.
Huge dragonfly, that big.
I thought I saw it go into your mouth.
He almost did.
Well,
I tasted brake clean.
clean your carb.
Our carb.
It'll work as a an anti-bug control. Hey guys, welcome back from the podcast. We're gonna work on that brake. I know it's the same kind of commercials that are coming over and over and over again. It's like, hi, I'm Joe from Joe's Minibike, and I've been into it's like, oh God, I'm so sick of that fucking thing. But anyways, the reality of it is that we're pretty excited. E is close to editing our first Joe's Minibike Reunion webcast, or would it be a web show? Web show. And there's also 2 and 3 and I don't know, maybe 4 episodes that we've got that we'll be able to release sometime shortly. And Ed, just like always, you're the star. Watch, you'll see. Jake, you play a big role in the show. People like Jake Mo too.
Yeah.
See, so here's my deal. I don't even have to be any good. I just have to have you guys around.
There you
See?
go.
Got it
Something
all
like that.
figured out. So we're here at the podcast, and I got to tell you that just as I said at the beginning of the show, it was a wonderful idea to have the JMBR All-American roll call.
Good job, Ed.
Back in the day, Ed.
It only took 3 years.
You have Karen said to say hi. Drew. Oh, Ed.
Another one?
Yeah.
No, wait, not here, not here.
Don't spray those cameras. Oh, shit.
Oh, sorry.
There was a fence right in front of me.
Oh, sorry. Oops.
Just sprayed our camera guy in the eyes.
Okay, sorry about that.
And
Hey, I just had to be the host. No one said I had to be smart. Yeah, yeah, Jake's hiding it. We have had our audience has doubled. We have had twice amount of folks that normally view the first half of the show, double already. So thanks for that. Your buddy Drew was on board, chiming in.
Oh, Drew Pratt?
Yeah, a few hundreds and hundreds of little comments. And what's nice, and I was suggesting it earlier, that those folks that we can in advance confirm they're going to be on the show, not only are they planning on being on it, but they can let some of the folks that are either within their state or their club or who knows, man, their kids can listen in. If you haven't heard of the podcast or Joe's Minibike Reunion, go ahead, if you like the Facebook page. Some of the videos, some of the podcasts. This is our 3rd year. This is like what show is this one? The 10th?
10th.
So there's a slew of shitty previous episodes you can check out if you're bored out of your mind. Check out YouTube. It's Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast. Check it out. All right, so we're back. We're Jake Mo here at Evil Ed, and we're going to continue on with the roll call, and we're keeping some folks up late. So this one may take a little bit of a time because I'm so interested in it. We're going to dial up Chris Nelson. Chris is representing the state of Wisconsin and is an event. I'm going to assume he's an event promoter, and he recently had shared some activities that took place out at the weekend event Simcoe, and they had a really strong group. I had some notes, I believe, on that event, and well, I'll tell you what. Let's forget the notes. Let's just call them up, and we'll have Chris tell us a little bit about what's happening on the mini bike scene out in Wisconsin. Now, as we dial them up, I'm thinking Wisconsin. I'm thinking grass. I'm thinking hills. I'm thinking mud. I'm thinking farms, right? You know, I'm thinking so much guys racing on drag strips or fucking pavement, right? We're not seeing guys in Wisconsin go to a parking lot.
Backyard.
Yeah, right. Because everybody's got the farms,
Backyard,
right?
yeah.
So I'm thinking,
Farms.
it's all that and some. They sure look like they were having fun. And you know what? They gave 0 fucks over there. They were racing. They had it blocked off. Those guys had it figured out. Very impressed. Just from the short video that I saw. One. You know what's nice too about this, Ed? I'm dialing area codes that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
I don't call Wisconsin often, for example. I did at one point represent Brett Favre and had some communication with him, but then he stopped doing drugs, so he stopped. Anyways, okay, let's go here. Chris Nelson in the house.
He's still up.
See.
Hello.
Hey, Chris, this is Joe, Ed, and Jake Moe from Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast. How are you tonight?
Doing great.
Thanks for staying up for me. What time is it over there in Wisconsin?
Going just about 11.
Okay, first question. Ready?
Yep.
Favorite cheese?
What kind of cheese?
Your favorite. What is it?
Sharp cheddar.
All right. I'm a sharp cheddar guy.
Good.
Yeah, Linda's a mild cheddar. Well, thanks for taking some time. Good to talk to you. We'll talk to you later. Thank you, Chris. Hey, Chris, you, my friend, are the talk of the Minibike social media network. You're going to have your own agent pretty soon. How does it feel to come back from what appeared to be a grand slam at that Simcoe event?
The Simcoe event went fantastic. We had so many mini bikes there. It's also a car show and a rockabilly show, a swap meet, camping, drinking. I mean, it's a whole weekend event for just about everybody.
You know what they say now when it's that extravagant? You know the expression they use out here now, Chris?
No.
It's a whole thing.
It is the whole thing in Wisconsin.
Well, talk a little bit about the types of bikes, and let's start off with your bike. What are you working? What are you riding?
Well, I took 5 bikes this year.
That's my guy. What were they? What's the stable?
Well, my biggest bike is it's a modified Nitro 50 frame with a NR Racing 420 on it with a Comet clutch system, 94 series clutch system, a big Hoosier tire in the back, wheelie bars.
75-mile-an-hour bike.
It did 78 a couple weeks ago at the drag strip.
Shit just comes to me. And why are you building bikes that fast? Are you riding them, or you just want to have one? What's going on with the bikes? Are you building those to have or ride?
Well, I built it to race, and I just sold one to a friend of mine, Derek, down in Atlanta, Georgia. My old fast bike, and I built a newer fast bike.
Are really nice, and it sounds like, I'm just going to take a leap out there. I'm sure you're probably building some nice bikes. Are those a few grand nowadays in the open market, little give or take?
Are they
price-wise? Are they, buying and selling those types of equipped drag bikes? Are those somewhere in the $3,000, $3,500 arena, price-wise?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
It's kind of same out here.
I'd have to have for one, yeah.
What else you have besides the fast bike?
I just went and finished up Rupp Enduro.
Okay. Popular bikes there.
Yep, Rupps are popular up here, so I just restored that one, but I put a Predator on it and a torque converter. But it's just a fun bike with suspension, rides nice. It's just a fun drive around bike.
And Chris, your local friends aren't giving you too much static for putting Predators in place of where the Tecumsehs and the Briggs sat. You don't find yourself in those conversations like they sometimes happen out here, do you?
No, there's a lot of them up here. I mean, there's the old OEM type Tecumsehs and that kind of some flatties around, but they're still my friends.
Yeah, I hear you. And stuff to beat those Predators, especially that Hemi.
Right. I mean, the price point on those and all the modifications you can make on them, it's just such an easy build.
So you've got the Rupp, you got the drag bike. Give me a quick little edited version of those remaining 3 bikes, and then I want to get into some of the details about that recent event, that Simcoe event.
Then I took along a tough mutter bike, what we call up here from Vintage Torque Fest. It's a big car show in May up here, and they have a mini bike program put out by Grant Cushman there in John Wells, and so they came up with a a mud course, a hill climb mud course.
With
So
big
I had to build.
tired bikes that compete in that, kind of the bigger tire bikes?
Yep, they work good.
Yeah.
Mine are just little knobby type tires, but they work too. And then I got into flat track racing up here in Wisconsin.
Sure.
And so I took a Booney type flat track bike with a 301 Predator on it.
I've always loved those boonies. They're popular in Detroit too. Yeah.
Those things are cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
The Boonie, and then that Super Bronc, Ed. You can still find them out there. They have those big old ugly black 7 or 8 horsepower Tecumsehs, and most of them are in original shape. You ever notice those big bikes?
Yeah.
The guy in the farm buys it and
Kind
he
of
keeps it like a
untouched. You always
tractor.
find them untouched, yeah.
Yeah, I like those bikes. The problem is that when you buy one of those, unlike the mini bikes you can stick in your fucking glove box, those bikes you have to have like a garage, right?
Yeah, they're huge.
Chris, talk a little bit about the Simcoe event. How long has that event been going on?
Well, I went back and looked it up, and I could find videos back to 2008.
Okay.
So I believe this was the 10th year.
Great. So they started off a few years before we actually started off Joe's Minibike Reunion. And what kind of numbers, what kind of attendance have they worked themselves up to over those 10 years?
Well, I would say just by looking at the videos and stuff, they probably had 20 bikes. And we started on Blacktop Road, and people just stood alongside the ditch.
Sounds like Michigan.
And now this last year, we had over 109 bikes signed up for the drags.
Love it.
And we came up with 6 different classes, from a vintage class to a 5 and under, a 10 and under, and then 2 modified classes. And it's just grown that much. And just since last year, we had about 85. So, it just keeps growing and growing.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And Chris, you guys, you had submitted some videos to us earlier. I'm going to see if we can maybe cue one of the videos up here. But it seemed like you were having a fun little short course drag race. Was it on dirt or mud? And you had it stanchioned off nice. That seemed like you guys were having a lot of fun there.
Yeah, we went about probably 6 years ago was kind of when I took over the mini bike part of it, and we went onto the clay track. It's a red Wisconsin red clay, and the thrashery guys up at the Simcoe grounds, they take care of it. They have a tractor pull, and so it's a nice packed down clay.
How fast were those bikes getting up? It was a pretty quick little jaunt. You let them run. It was before you knew it, it was over. But
300.
Yeah, was it like a 300-foot launch there you had there?
125.
See, so you can almost do it in the garage here.
Wow.
What do you think was that one of the biggest draws, or one of the more entertaining parts of the event, or were there other activities that they had that stole some of the attention?
Well, we just do the 125 feet, and then that's plenty fast enough for these bikes. And some of these young kids, we want to keep it safe, but we can get them. I've got one of my bikes, the Gold Dust or Gold Rush bike. Speedometer's at 38 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And 125 feet. But yeah, they have at the whole event. They have a swap meet, camping, music, food. It's like a rockabilly car show, all vintage cars.
Nice. And
so there's plenty of stuff.
Did you see anything there at the swap meet that you had to have? Any cool little vintage bikes lying around, or any good deals? Were there?
Simple Tom had a bunch of bikes there, and his buddies, Mark.
Simple Tom.
Did he have his Evil Ed hat on?
I didn't see that. I don't think he's got it yet.
Actually, I spoke to him today. He got it, but he's been so busy and he was so tired from Simcoe. He said he hadn't had the chance yet to say thanks, but we were just curious that he got it. He's got it. Chris, considering what good work you're doing, we're going to have to send you a hat.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Hey, look, we got a few more states to visit. If folks want to find out a little bit more about what's happening with the mini bike scene in Wisconsin, and maybe how they may find out more about the upcoming Simcoe event for 2000, dare I say, 19. What's the easiest way that folks could find out more information?
Well, I post everything going on in the Midwest on my Facebook page, Midwest 608 Minibike.
Can you repeat that one more time?
Midwest 608 Minibike.
Okay. And you're going to stick with that.
Facebook.
And you're going to stick with the sharp cheddar? You're sure on that one?
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you what I'd like you to do. You put a little cheese in a box, and I'll trade you a little sunshine from California. And let's stay in touch, Chris. We appreciate you spending some time with us tonight. I know it's a little late back there. Good luck with the Packers. It's going to be all about the Packers from now on in Wisconsin.
Yes, it will.
And I'll leave you with this. Any parting comments on Harley Davidson?
On Harley Davidson?
Yes.
Well, we'll see how they do. There's a show end of August here, a bony bike show inside. It's for the Harley 115th year anniversary.
How's the local reception been with the company in light of maybe them continuing their manufacturing outside of the U.S.?
Well, I haven't stayed on top of that.
Okay, well, it seems to be topical. I think it was a pretty safe answer on your end as well. I had a couple Harley products over my life, and I couldn't see anything that they made that was an actual part of the bike to be built outside of the U.S. I'm okay with buying a leather jacket somewhere that says Harley Davidson that's not made here, but the motorcycle, I don't want it made in fucking Brazil. Chris, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast. Tell a friend. Stay on board. Like us on the Facebook page. We'll stay in touch. We'll be anxious to hear what you're up to next time, okay?
Thanks for the opportunity to talk to you guys.
Our pleasure, Chris. Hold down the fort there in Wisconsin.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep, thanks, Jake, and thanks, Ed.
Yep, take it
Thanks,
easy.
Joe.
Appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon, Chris. Have a good night and have a great rest of the week, brother.
You too. Bye.
That's cool.
I love the accents too. Notice?
Yeah,
Hey,
they're all
how
a little
you
different.
doing?
Yep.
The Wisconsin cheese. Yeah, you don't want to talk too much about the Harley Davidson. Not too. Yeah, I get it. It's been so topical. You know, let's face it. Harley Davidson's just the face of that state. If they fucking. Oh well. Oops. We got other things to worry about. We got 4 fucking football teams we don't want. All right, here we go. Ed, you ready for this one?
Kyle Moody.
Yeah. All right, so
Kyle Moody.
Up.
Kyle Moody. Oh, maybe we'll have Justin Eckler take this call. Maybe Justin can interview Kyle. I'm just kidding. They have a little banter going back and forth over the price of a mini bike. You know how that shit goes, right? Maybe we'll reunite them. And Emmanuel, can you have a little reunited music in the background? Reunited. Peaches and Cream, I believe, 1980. I don't know.
One guy I've seen on Facebook lately stirring it up.
Who? Oh, we don't want to name names, right?
Charles.
Oh, Charles, not Charles. Wait till he stirs it up a little bit later on. You know, I noticed that your AV ride thread went from a fun event ride to a fucking technical how to build a big block with cast iron aluminum shavings and a 4-bore stroke 2-inch.
How did it get there?
I don't know.
It amazes me.
It's like Space Invasion. You know, it'd be like being a rock star and cutting an album and then you play it and the last song's a fucking country song. It's like, how did this go from a rock album to a country song? All right. How you feeling, Ed?
All right.
Get down and give me 10. Sorry about the whole dragonfly thing. I had to kill 3 dragonflies during that last interview.
Well,
Got him.
They don't do nothing.
He was on the screen, and this is my good side. So he's fucking on my
Look,
good
he
side.
turned color.
Huh? Oh, you know what? That's not a bug. All right. Hey, ready, Ed?
Yeah.
Okay, now, I know you're used to using a really bad phone. Would you like to try using a real phone?
I don't know if I can.
All right, ready? Here's his number.
Yeah.
I'll dial it.
Do you? Yeah, Kyle Moody. It's at 317. Oh, I got some stories from Indianapolis. So, Ed, you did 2 autographed T-shirts tonight so far.
0.
You visited 4 or 5 states.
You missed a 0.
Oh.
Wait.
Pressed it.
Wait till he tries to hook up the speakerphone. The show will be over. Were we able to play a little bit of Chris's videos?
Yeah. Didn't get it.
Oh, how nice.
553. Here, back up.
Yeah.
5,
later
5,
that
9,
day, as
5,
Jake
3.
and Ed try to use an iPhone.
Should we place the number in a... do I touch the button?
The speaker says off. Now what do? Do I talk it to the phone?
I missed my flip phone.
Get the speaker.
How does this fucking phone work? I mean, come on. Sure, mine doesn't do that.
Giving you shit,
I hate my phone.
You gotta be upbeat. If
Kyle
it's
already
sleepy.
went to sleep.
Good. We'll get right to the next one. If it is, leave a nice voicemail for him. We'll take that. You sure you down the right
Your
number?
call has been forwarded
right to
to an
voicemail.
automatic voice message system.
Great. So you got out of it.
317-340-5953 is not available.
All right.
At the tone, please record your message.
Oh, sorry, brother.
Finish recording. You may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hey, Kyle, this is Evil Ed out in California. How you doing? I guess you fell asleep or something. I don't know. Yeah, I would fall asleep too. Anyway, you got me out of doing this little interview.
Ask him a question anyways.
Live on the podcast.
Ask him a question, Ed. Just
Kyle, how many two-stroke mini bikes do you have?
all right, and now ask him.
And where can we get a hold of you? If someone wants to ask you a question about two-stroke mini bikes.
Ask him if he's sleeping.
Are you sleeping? Hello, wake up. Hello, hello. Mic check, mic check.
Tell him.
Anyway, Kyle, thanks for...
tell him if he picks up the phone in 5 seconds, we're going to give him $100.
If you pick up the phone in 5 seconds, we'll give you $100.
1,
2, 3, 4.
We'll just do 2 more seconds.
4.5.
Yeah, give him 2 more seconds.
4 3/4.
Add
4
another $100.
7/8.
Tell him we'll give him $500 if he gets to the next 300. $500 in the next 3 seconds.
500 in the next 3 seconds.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, Kyle.
Hang up. Tell him to
Kyle,
catch him on the
we'll
next
talk
time.
to you later, man.
See? God, they just saved $500 because I would have had to pay him, right? You had to use the. Can you help him with that phone? Jesus Christ.
All right, who's up next?
I'll just let him call. Who is it?
Texas Outlaw Minibikes, Mike Hughes.
Yeah, you don't know.
Texas, all right.
Yep.
Let's see.
Mike is Mike's a part of the Texas Outlaw Minibike.
Maybe he's...
That thing's huge out there.
Yes. So you guys handle him. Just tell him I said hi. I'm going to look out for bugs.
Jesus Christ.
Ed, this is going to be the biggest show ever. So
all right, Ed.
There could be a lot of talent
Is this
agents.
me?
Yeah, it's you.
Oh, I don't know this guy.
Oh, but shit, neither do I.
What's his name?
That's the whole thing. It's getting to know you, getting to know everything about you, getting to see you.
Hey, Mike. This is Evil Ed.
How y'all doing?
This is Evil Ed from Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast.
How y'all doing tonight?
All right, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good.
Hi, Mike.
How's that Texas Minibike going?
Man, it's just a whole bunch of people that love the mini bikes and love each other. We've ended up with such a good group. It's really hard to believe. Started out with just 5 guys talking crap. Well, a little over 5 guys talking crap before the big Lone Star Roundup races.
Yeah.
Man, it has grown. We've got over 3,200 members.
Wow. That's a lot.
That's more than us, Ed.
Yep. 3,200. That's a lot.
Yeah. Mostly, there's less that are active, but the group that we have to the races are just great. I mean, it's good, clean racing. You never know who's gonna be in first because of the tracks.
So this Texas Roundup, is that the car show too?
Yeah, well, the Lone Star Roundup is a vintage car show,
right.
Probably one of the biggest in Texas. And another club puts on the mini bike races there, a car club.
Okay.
And we were just going to their races, and we thought, why are we waiting all year long to go to their races? Let's go ahead and do our own. And we had, was it James Cole from Hellions Car Club? They do the Texas Hoedown car show.
Uh-huh.
And they invited us to go race over there and gave us our first break, and from there it's just kind of snowballed.
Do you know when the shows happen? Can you give us a...
the Texas Hoedown is in March, and the Lone Star Roundup is in April. Beginning of April.
Yeah.
And,
okay.
We pretty much have an event almost every month.
Oh, really?
Cool.
Oh, yeah. And actually, this year in June, we had 4 events in one month, which we kind of overdid ourselves a little bit.
One a week, huh?
Oh yeah, and we raced at car shows, motorcycle rallies, county fairs. If they want to put a track out there, we'll run.
What kind of bikes are popular there?
Man, I'll tell you, it's a little bit of everything. Usually the starter bike is the old Doodlebug. Doodlebug with a Predator is kind of the opening, the first bike for most. And, yeah, the Warriors, we're seeing a good amount of the Warriors, the Baja Warriors. But we've got a lot of guys with, there seems to be a lot of Mancos, the K&S Hornets. Those are really popular.
Okay.
Remember those?
And, yeah, and then we got Tommy Young and them guys are putting out some really nice bikes, man. I mean, he's got a Gilson that he's just built up, you wouldn't believe.
I like those bikes, those Gilsons. Those are like from the Montgomery Ward family, right?
Yep.
Exactly.
You know where those are also popular as well, Mike, is for some reason Arizona. And we're gonna have some of the Arizona guys out there. They had that really strong steel clutch cover.
Yeah.
That gave it kind of that chrome look, and it was like a sturdy bike. That was the bike in the catalog, Mike, that you knew was the one out of reach. When we were young kids in our room in our pajamas looking through that JCPenney and they had that little 3.5 horsepower that you could kind of see yourself getting into, but that big 5 horsepower with all that chrome and those big tires, it's like, I don't know, it's going to be tough to talk my mom into getting me this one.
Oh, yeah.
So what kind of bike did you have when you were a little kid?
When I was little, I actually rode most of my friends.
Okay.
And that was the bad thing. And I ended up riding my buddy's little 80 a lot, and I didn't get into mini bikes till I was older, honestly.
Really?
And I got hooked up in I got hooked in with buddies, and they just, we went from there, and I ended up getting me a little Doodlebug and threw the Predator on it and put me one of them X19 crotch rocket front ends on it.
Okay.
On suspension. And I don't think I've washed the thing once. It's the rat bike.
That's the way I like them, ratty.
World. It is. It's all that filthy, and there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
But it's not the fastest, but it has the most fun miles.
Well, that's cool.
Hey, Mike, what was the last performance or hop up or bolt on part that you put on that bike?
Honestly, the last part I put on there was a muffler or a pipe made out of a motorcycle handlebar.
Did you put a little arrestor at the back at the end of it?
Nope, straight pipe, buddy.
Does it wrap pretty good with that small diameter pipe?
It really does. And honestly,
backfires
really
and crackles.
I got that little Predator Hemi, and I love it. And I run this thing for 3 years, and it's been upside down and mud and dirt, and you wouldn't believe. We run these things hard down here. Our tracks, we never know what we're getting. And our guys go out there, and they have to learn that track, and they have to get out there, and I give them a lot of credit. I mean, they're very adaptable.
Well, you guys are always crashing your bikes and everything. I'm looking at all the pictures and videos you guys have up there, and man, you guys thrash those things.
You guys take some hard falls, huh?
Honestly, it's not as bad as it looks. That doesn't happen as much as the pictures make it look.
It looks like a blast, to be honest.
we're good friends, and we really, really watch out for each other. We all know we have to go to work Monday, so it's good hard racing, but last thing anybody wants to do is mess anybody up, for sure, man.
Yeah, because you can really get hurt by yourself, You don't want someone else messing you up.
Do you guys ride?
You got to ask Brother Isaiah Gibbs about that one. He's the king of the crash sometimes. I think he's getting past that, but we'll leave him alone on that one now.
Just going to ask you about that.
If anyone wants to, talk to you about the car shows and mini bike shows, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Join our group, Texas Outlaw Mini Bikes. We're a closed group. We ask a couple of questions just to make sure, keep the spammers out.
Okay.
But there's so much information. I mean, a lot of the people that I've seen today on watching y'all's podcast, and a lot of the people on y'all's podcast, they're actually part of Texas Outlaw Minibikes.
Oh, okay.
My main thing that I really want to talk about was to tell people you can get out there and you can start these races. It doesn't take special connections. It doesn't take anything. It takes going to a car show and asking them, will you build the track? Will entertain the crowd?
Okay.
Usually you'll fall under their insurance. They'll clear it with their insurance.
Uh-huh.
And we pretty much, none of our races cost any of our racers a dime.
Oh, that's cool.
We don't. And most of the time they get free entry into large events. So it's all, we're entertaining your crowd, so you build us a track, and it's worked very well for us.
That's good. So
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
People just, I see so many times, I wish I could do that. I wish I could, have events like they can. It's just, get on the phone, get on the internet, just Facebook message people, and make it happen, Captain.
It's the old adage, ask for the order, right, Mike?
Yes, sir.
If you've got a good product or if you've got a good idea, there shouldn't be any hesitation to ask for the order in that broad context. And I think to your point, don't immediately assume something can't get done without asking. Go to the local guys that may have already established a little schedule with a car show. Bring up a mini bike. Bringing a mini bike up to somebody's like bringing a puppy and a supermodel. They fall to their friggin' knees. So you bring a mini bike up, you get them talking, and tell them you'd like to be a part of it, and maybe find a way that you can work together. It's pretty much that simple. When you do take that approach and someone says not interested, that's just God's way of telling you you've got the wrong partner.
Oh yeah.
So
the beauty is you come back next year, because now we have a regular schedule.
Oh, that's good.
Of car shows we do. We raced at the largest turnstile motorcycle rally in the United States, the Republic of Texas rally, and got to see ZZ Top afterwards on top of that.
All right.
But we raced there, and actually we got racer plus 1 free entry. So these things, you get to race, you get to go to places that you normally wouldn't go to.
That's the cool part.
And you get to hang out with some of the best people in the world.
All right, Mike, I got to kind of cut this right now. You got anyone you need a shout out to?
Man, Grant Hill with Kart Fab. He's done a lot with us. And Taylor Yoakum with Hope Power Sports. Tim Murphy and Melissa Murphy. We wouldn't be as big as we were without the pictures we have. If you notice, some of our images are the best in mini biking.
Right.
And that's because we've got good photographers. And that's Tim Murphy with Crackers and Cucumbers.
Okay.
So that's another thing is, get some good pictures for us. Send them out there. We like to see them too.
Okay.
Mike, we're
great talking with you.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
We're hopeful that folks can find out more about what's happening in the mini bike scene, and we're looking for guys like you to have a voice. If you know of other folks that are active within the Texas mini bike scene, similar to what you were saying earlier, encourage them. Maybe we can have somebody else who may be tackling on this hobby in a different context that you come across in the future. We'll always have a voice for not only our friends across the U.S., but particularly in Texas. So thanks for joining us tonight.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.
You know what would be cool about Texas is it is so big. But just like Louisiana, they got alligators. So when you're rural, yeah, they got all kinds of, and it's hot there. So when those guys are riding those big bikes there in Texas, it is, well, we were talking about it earlier. That's why the homes there are mansions, and they're $200,000. You got to put in some time to survive a summer in Texas. So those guys out riding bikes, especially when they're doing it the right way with like boots or helmets, it's got to be hot.
Yeah.
It's got to be hot.
Dying inside there.
Yeah, so and I like his attitude too. It's like, hey, look, we can find a way in. He's got them building courses for him. some bigger balls than us.
Yeah.
You know, we're trying just not to get caught by the cops and renting a local park. All right, so we're traveling out now to we're almost home. We're going to hit in Arizona and we're going to hit California, and we're going to reach out to a name. Well, this guy is I refer to him affectionately as John Benet Ramsey. His name is John Benet, and he's a part of those Arizona Riders. In fact, you see my Arizona Riders decal right on my Muhammad Ali. Yeah, we got him over here somewhere too. Yeah, they're on the table. We're going to dial up John Benet, and we're going to
get an Evil Head hat.
He did.
Didn't he congratulate us on Facebook?
He sent you a thank you, and you know, he was very appreciative, Ed.
Yep.
And like most folks are that receive a little something from us, you know, we're just happy to feed the machine, right? All right, let's get John on there. Remember Ruth Buzzy? One ringy dingy. Oh, that was Lay Tomlin.
I'm sorry, but the person you called has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet.
Oh, sleeping.
All right.
Bye.
He's sleeping.
Okay, so that happens, but you know, when you're a competent podcast host and you wake up with a professional demeanor, you always have a backup, Ed. As a result, see? Let's go here.
What the hell is that?
Hey, is this John Benet Ramsey? John, is that you?
Yeah, it's me. How's it going?
Doing great, man. I'm glad that we got you on the line. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you guys?
All right. How you doing?
Good.
We got the Evil Ed over here, and we got Jake Moe. Say hi to these guys, John.
How's it going, Jake? How's it going, Evil Ed? I got your hat.
All right. Yeah, I saw that. You posted.
Rocking it every day.
Cool.
Has your head gotten any bigger or smaller since you've been wearing it?
Maybe a little bit bigger.
There you go. I've got to admit, John, you're on a pretty big roll. You won a couple of little prizes here. You won a little bit of Evil Ed swag. I'm not sure if you won anything else, but then when we announced the JMBR All-American Minibike, I got to abbreviate this
Roll
thing.
call.
Roll call.
You were one of the first guys that tossed his hat in, speaking on behalf of what's happening in Arizona, but more pointedly, your Arizona Minibike Riders with a Z group. Tell us what's it all about over there. What do you got to say?
Yeah, we got a lot of riders, about 1,400 on the page. A lot of them are local, about 800 or so. But we like to do a lot of group rides, from cruising around the streets to desert racing and drag racing. I started out doing flat track racing, and I really love our page because all our guys are all about helping each other out with engine work and different bikes and what parts to get and everything. And when we're on our group rides, we make sure everyone's up to our speed and not breaking down, and making sure everyone's having a good time. And we love what we do, and that's what makes us what we are.
How big is your group over there, John?
We got active riders between our groups, sometimes 10 to 15, but when we have big group rides, they can go up to 80 to 100 on our annual group hood ride, which we have once a year.
Damn.
We just get all our group riders, like from the mini bikes to the Groms and pit bikes, and just invite everyone out and have a big ride and have a good time and meet everybody.
And what is your role there, John? Do you find yourself participating as a guy who brings his bike, or are you a part of organizing it and coordinating it? What do you guys do there? How big and how active is your group within those rides?
I like to do a bunch of rides myself, but the main guys that started it was Jason Williams, Dallas G, and Jason G, and Nick Scott, who you're about to talk to. Those guys really started this page, and they really brought it to a whole nother level. And it's been a really awesome ride. And I started out flat tracking, and now I'm starting to do the drag racing, and I love it all, from working on the engines to racing and riding. I love it all.
John, tell us a little bit about your bike.
I love the DB30s. I currently have two DB30s. My first flat track bike, which I've had since the beginning, is now my drag bike. And I'm getting that ready to come to your show on the 13th, actually.
Great.
And then I also have a track bike that I'm building with suspension and everything, a little camo DV30 that I'm going to go track racing with and do my flat truck and everything with.
What is it about the DB that has your attention?
That's just what I started with, and I like the small. I'm only 150 pounds, and I'm not a big guy or anything, so I like the smallness of it, and it's comfortable for me, and I like the bar styles on them.
Yeah, Ed was talking. Ed was talking about the toe handle, and Jake says a nice little solid unit. I've seen more of those out of state than you do here in California. You know, you'll see quite a few of them if you go to any social media with anything that says mini bike in it. There's a ton of those seem to be out there. It was also a segment based on your age, because John, I'm assuming that you're probably what, in your 30s?
Oh, a little bit lower. I'm only 23 years old.
Okay, so
I've been in this game for a year.
So I think maybe at that age that they're much more in tune with those types of bikes, and some of those bikes that we gravitated towards, the older bikes which are no longer made. Obviously, that's another reason, right?
Yeah. Right.
So you mentioned Nick and some of the guys. There's seems to be a really strong drive to get something going out there. There's a local store that's selling mini bike parts that you guys support too. What's the name of that place?
Correct. That's AZ Mini Bikes and Go Kart, and they also started about a year ago. We just had their first annual celebration the other day, and they've started with just a couple parts to now they have flywheel sets and stage 1 kits and Robertson torque tubes, and they have everything you need nowadays, tires and everything.
Yeah, you ought to talk to some of the guys out here. Some of them are sponsors of our event. The guys from F&B, probably more pointedly, maybe talk to those guys about working out some kind of a deal to carry their pipes there. That would be a good idea. We found some good success with the guys from Green Filters as well. There's a lot of choices when it comes to a lot of these products. F&B, and then you know, somewhere down the line, we'll look forward to seeing you out here on the 13th. If you could bring a couple of friends from Arizona with you, you'll have a little bit more fun on the ride. But you have a chance to meet Evil Ed and Jake and some of the guys out here. John, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to before we move on a little bit and hit another state?
I'd just like to give a shout out to all the AZ mini bike riders and all the guys who put on a good show for us. And I want to thank you, Joe, and Evil Ed and Jake, and for you guys putting on your podcast and everything. And just everybody in the mini bike community. It's an awesome hobby, and I love it, and I want to appreciate it. Thank you for everything.
All right.
Damn, John, that was very nice of you, brother. And I really, really look forward to seeing you. I'll tell you what, if you come out to the show, when you pay your registration, we're going to give you back that complete registration fee and a voucher, so you can use that to buy some hats and T-shirts and shit to bring back to Arizona. And I'll look forward to saying hi and giving you a high five myself personally, so make sure you see me when you get here.
Sounds good. I appreciate it. I look forward to it.
All right, John. How cool. Our guys from Arizona, mini bike riders. And you know what? I do want to quickly... we got 2 more calls. How are we doing on time, E?
It's already long.
Okay. I want to try to get... Can we get 2 more calls in, do you think? Or you want to just get... Here's the deal. I want... In fact, Nick, you're cool enough to understand this. I'm going to hit a state of California and then just do the one. So I'll grab you, Nick, on our next podcast, and we'll take a little bit of a different perspective on what's happening in Arizona. Nick's with the same club as John, so I'm sure they're enjoying some of the similar things. So, Nick, I apologize for not getting you on tonight. It's like, shit, man, even Bruce Willis got bumped on the Tonight Show. Don't worry about it. You come back bigger and stronger. I'll send you a nice little special VIP guest gift basket. Probably took Nick like 2 years to get whatever. What did he win? You won a pipe or a cam or something? He's still waiting for it, probably.
That's right, huh?
So add something else to it, Nick. And a big shout out to those guys at the Arizona Mini Bike Riders with the Z. You can tell by John that they're all about having fun. Big group, you know, anywhere from 14 to 80, depending on it. So if you're in the Arizona area and you want to ride, well, I don't know how I could end this show any more appropriately than Charles Mini Drag Bike. In fact, I should sell his phone number. You want to do that? We'll sell his cell phone number, and all the people that love him, first of all, will be heroes with them, and then all the guys that don't love him, we'll get even double from them. Hey, Charles, you're gonna. All right, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna give out Charles' cell phone number.
That's where the show gets good.
Yeah, and then no, I never do that. Although Charles, you know, he's been doing jujitsu, and if I have to break out some, somebody do my light work for me.
We're gonna have to break out some moves.
All right, here. don't think you're getting through the podcast without telling us about your jiu-jitsu either, E. He's already lost 13 pounds.
What?
Yeah, he dropped his wallet.
Okay, looks good.
All right.
He dropped his wallet.
I do have a few good jokes every once in a while, Ed.
Yeah.
And I have good perception, like I knew you were looking at my shirt. Come on.
I was looking at it.
Man, that was quick.
Get down with MDB.
Charles.
Charles.
What's up?
What's going on?
Well, how could we not close the show with one of the biggest personalities and biceps in the industry? Welcome to the podcast, Charles. It's Joe, Ed, and Jake.
Hey, it's nice to be in it.
Have you been listening in, or you been busy? I know you're a busy guy. You got people calling you, texting you. Have you had the chance to listen in to the podcast tonight, Charles?
Yeah, I'm on it now. It's got like a little delay. I'm watching it on the TV, but I was eating a little pasta also, so I was like, oh, okay, they mentioned my name. Let me go check my phone. But it was ringing before you actually called, like on the delay on the TV.
Yes.
You know, I was like, oh, okay.
Do you know, Charles, that on television, like NBC, CBS, or ESPN, you know, when you're just watching TV, that there's a 10-second delay?
Yeah.
There is.
That's so the bloopers
In case something
can
crazy
bloop 'em
happens,
out.
they can take it out.
No, I just think they haven't quite figured it out yet. Anyways, hey, Charles, thanks for joining us on the podcast. How do you like the idea of the All-American Minibike Roll Call, where people call on from different states and give you a little hint and flavor of what's happening there? You like that?
Yeah, I like that because, you know, it's different cultures everywhere, you know, and everybody rides a little bit differently. All the same bikes and stuff pretty much, but there's different views about it all around the world, you know, or at least all around the country.
For some reason, I envision you as having like a southern kind of roots. Like, I can see Charles being raised in Louisiana or Mississippi or Georgia. Do you have any southern roots, Charles?
Yeah, my family is back south, but
Where are they?
I was born and raised out here in California. They always say I sound southern, though.
Yeah, that's why I bring it up. And you do come across as a big, strong country boy that could beat up a cow.
Yeah.
Charles, what have you been up to lately?
I forgot to tell you, you know, Jake is supposed to do me a new drag chassis, right? And he had some nice artwork. I don't know if he showed it to you. You know?
We'll get that. Tell us about that, Jake.
Yeah, we're going to build something, Charles, something. He came up with a wheelbase, and we're going to throw it together, all chromoly, lightweight, something real strong and braced, but, you know, gets the job done, real functional. Yep.
Have you started? Or are you talking about it? You're at a rendering stage now?
The material's ordered, the chromoly's ordered, so
great.
we're just waiting on the material now, and then we got the rendering pretty close, but we'll probably change it a little bit from the rendering, but yeah, should be a fun project. Work with Charles, and we'll figure everything out.
How about that for
should be nice and fast and a bunch of stuff that you've never seen before. So
how about that for a tag team? That's like Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant combining for a big event. Yeah, you know, that's gonna be. How could that not
be slick.
What are we gonna name this thing?
I don't know.
Charles.
Charles.
I don't even know.
Andre the Giant.
Andre.
Bikes normally look so nice. You don't even want to put no paint on them. You just normally leave it like the brushed metal, you know, look.
Yep.
So,
you know, I've got.
I don't probably just leave it like it is, but I was thinking like maybe it might look something like Terminator or something once it's done.
Yeah.
You know how the T-1000 or whatever it is. So it's like just a crazy looking machine you're scared of or something. So,
yeah, big tire, big gnarly engine.
It's gonna look aggressive, look a little different.
Well, your dance cards are getting pretty full. I see Ian's trying to peck away, getting a little time with you.
Yeah.
What did guys like you and Charles find about the challenge of going from building a bike or two for yourself, and then I guess it had to do a lot with social media, where now it's not just you and Midgie or Charles and Trey looking at a bike. It's thousands of people now, and all of a sudden, due to the popularity with this mini bike scene, Charles, I know that your phone rang off the wall before I even knew you, so I can imagine what happens now. And you, Jake, you're starting to get a lot of folks wanting to build bikes. This is starting to get business-like, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You know, the difference with it is, I build custom engines, and they always a little bit different every time. And I know that Jake builds the chassis of the little bikes, and they always different. All the other people who build, bikes, they all look similar. Oh yeah, that's the same from this guy and that guy. You can line them all up, and they pretty much all look the same. But with Jake bike, Jake made the chassis, but they look different every single time. So they all look, unique.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. And I mean this in a complimentary way, but a GTS bike when you see it. To some degree, there's certain bikes that are just going to have that look. And even, bikes like F&B and some others, granted, they take a custom route sometimes, but like I can spot a Temecula Bob bike now. There's certain bikes that have a certain look. That is true. And even if I look at I'm fortunate enough to look at a few of them, whether it's Frankenstein or Micro Roberto, or looking at the longer frame Temecula Bob bike, they all do have that uniqueness. I guess that's what it's like to be successful in anything, Charles, being a little bit unique.
Yeah. I have 2 bikes from Bob. I have a drag bike and a regular size Bob bike. And they look exactly the same. One is just a little bigger than the other,
Yeah, I actually could say the same. I got the micro in the longer frame. Hey, Charles, part of the reason why we did this mini bike roll call was to have folks within their state give other folks outside of that state an idea of the scene. Jake painted a little bit of a picture of the scene that he sees up there in the AV. I know where you are, closer to the heart of LA, that it's predominantly a racing-styled mini bike focus, and there's a lot of street riding and racing with a special accent more on going fast than building like a custom or trick bike, or for that matter, bringing back a vintage bike. You guys are really just about riding and racing. That seems to be the heartbeat of what's going on there. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it's normally the fastest guys from each state or area normally contact me. So it's always like in Arizona, I know it's a Jason Lee. He's supposed to be like really fast or whatever, and I did a little work for him. And then like Charles Harris in Detroit, and then in Florida, there's a guy named Eric, I forgot his last name, but the Florida guys, man, these guys they really extreme with it, more at a faster rate than anybody else that I know of. So they plan on being the fastest. So I told the dude, look, once the engines is done, you're gonna be faster than me. I don't really like for nobody to be faster than me, but I told him, I said, the combination should, make you faster than what I have. But if you're paying for it, I can't, stop you from going fast.
So I guess that Southeast Florida tip has a little bit of California in it. They want to go fast, huh?
Yeah. They got some GTs, drag rollers and stuff out there. And then Jason, I think he got a bike. He in Arizona. He got a bike from GTs. He drove over here, picked up a head from me, and picked up a chassis from GTs. And Charles Harris, he's been fast already for a while now, maybe at least 8 years or something. So he's doing big stuff, billing heads and everything now.
We talked to a guy.
Everybody pretty much grows over the years and gets bigger and faster and bigger and faster, and it gets bigger everywhere,
But yeah, Charles, what I was, as I look at our list so far, Calvin Carisi, our first caller, drag bike. Talked to Chris in Long Island, drag bike. Vinny Minis, a little bit of a different style down there. You know the deal with Isaiah. Mm-hmm. Chris Nelson, drag bike. John Bennett. So many of the guys that we've had on the show so far, drag bikes seem to be notably, like Ed's got an affinity towards, let's say, Bonanza. Jake's still rocking his Roper. I'm a little bit more traditional. I've got some Bonanzas and different bikes. It's funny. It's all about going fast, Charles, and they're paying a pretty hefty price. Are you still finding yourself having more orders than time to fill them?
Yeah, man. I stay busy with it, but it all depends on where you live. Like right here in California, you can have like Jake, and they do a lot of cruising out there in the AV. You know, then out here in LA, you know, we drag racing. Then if you go up north, where Ian's at, they do a lot of flat track racing. You know, so it's the same state. It's just depending on where you live. You know, so they might do a little bit of everything, pretty much. You know, I was even once upon a time into the flat track racing and the cruising and parades, and I did a lot of that stuff. Evil Ed was into it too. Yep. You know, so it's just what we did at the time.
Go ahead, Jake. Jake had a question for you too, Charles.
Charles, you want to touch on the Dyno Challenge deal real quick?
Oh, yes, man. You know, a lot of
we're all waiting for it.
A lot of those get mad at me about talking about, yeah, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best. But I only do it mainly to just stir people up, and they get mad and say, well, I'm tired of this guy, I want to beat him. Because if I don't do anything or say anything, nothing would ever happen, you know? So I have to kind of stir these guys up so them, okay, now I want to beat this guy, you know? So, okay, that's the strategy of it, you know? So they really want to beat me. I'm like, okay, you can't beat me or whatever. So that's just how it is. But it's going to be good. It's like a nationwide event. Pretty much anybody want to get involved. Brad Hill is hosting it, and the rules is on his Facebook page. You know, so.
Well,
if you think you can beat me, you know, I'm always willing, you know, for the challenge.
Is it Brad Hill? Is that the Facebook page? Is that the specific name? Okay.
Name is, it's on Brad Hill Performance.
Thank you, because there's a lot of Brad Hills.
So when he's in Virginia,
okay.
You know, he's in Virginia or whatever. So you send your engine to Brad, and it's hosted January 12th through the 19th. You have about a good, 5 months from now?
Yes.
Something?
Yep, you sure do.
You know, so you got 5 months pretty much to build your engine, and you ship it over to him, and he dyno tests it there, and he tells you, like, he makes a live video, just like how the podcast is, and tells you whatever horsepower you made or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And after everybody's tested, you know, then there's a winner. So that's pretty much how it goes. You know? Charles,
who won last year?
It really didn't happen last year. It was only one guy participated in it, and his name was George Owenby, right?
Okay.
And he had a nice, healthy engine or whatever, and but he was just the only guy, you know. But I would have said I would have declared him the winner. Like, I would have said, yeah, he won. But the only problem with it is
one guy.
His numbers was lower than the previous year.
Got it.
Right?
Yeah, you don't want to go backwards.
Yes. Yeah, so the years before, our numbers was higher than his, and his was the newest year. So I couldn't say, well, he beat our old numbers. He never did beat the old numbers. So
who do you think's gonna come close in the competition wise in this challenge?
Well, Brad himself said he's going to get in it, right? And
he said he had a small block.
Built before. He should be really close. I want to say Dustin, it should be pretty good too, but he hasn't really messed with the small engines. He messed with the car engines, but it's a little bit different, man. You know, with the small engines or whatever. So I do want him to do real good, and I don't know if Brian Franklin is going to get in it or not, but he should do good too. I want everybody to get at least 30 horsepower, you know, so
yeah.
It'll blow all the old numbers out to the past, like they don't even count anymore, you know, and so it will make the standard high. Everybody got to step up to even be in this league, you know.
Right. You know, we ought to have him on the show. Charles, you've always been a good source of suggestions. I know you also mentioned Eric, who has a podcast that he does, and he's a really good historian. Thank you for continuing. I may take you up on both of those. I think Ed also had a rapport with maybe getting Eric on. We've got about 3 or 4 podcasts that lead up to the big show on October the 13th. This year, Charles, we're inducting Ray from Little Indian Minibikes, who may be coming out, or his son may be coming out to accept on his behalf from Detroit. I think the Little Indian guys in that model, that bike, that story, that brand is so deserved. And then Temecula Bob will also be joining you, Charles. And I want to I want to always take an opportunity to say thank you for all you do for us and giving us a little bit of an idea of the scene that you think we've got out here. It's going fast. It's drag racing, and you are the king of speed, Charles. It's exciting to hear about the plan that you guys have in effect working with Jake. I can't wait to see that bike. So you'll be starting that bike this year, and maybe that's a bike that we could see sometime when?
You should be able to.
Yeah, it could be done in a couple of weeks, in like 2 weeks. But I'm hoping to see some new faces from long distance out there at Joe's this coming year. So hopefully we can have some long distance visitors this year.
We may have some. And Charles, a lot of them come because they want to say hi to you. And thank you for all you do within the community. Anybody you want to give a shout out to as we finish up the podcast tonight?
What about, I got to give a shout out to the MDB crew or the MDR crew. It would be Charles Gant, Harold B, Roshane Valentine. That's pretty much it. And we got a new one named Dexter, but he might make it to the show this year. But that's pretty much it right there.
Should I just continue to do the one extra large shirt for you again this year?
Yeah, I need like a 3X. You know, I was just wearing the Evil Ed shirt today, the one you have on the podcast.
That
I was like, who is that?
See?
It was like, is that your dad? I was like, no. I was like, no, that's my friend right there.
Charles, make no mistake about it. Evil Ed's the hit of the podcast. He's the hit of the show. He's the hit of the mini bike world out here. You know that.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, they love that right there.
I had to get like they got those Sharpies. Most of them are black or red or blue. I had to get the silver ones. We already gone through a box because he autographed so much JMBR junk over here. He's got his own line of apparel too, Charles. We got some shirts going out to Gerald out in the Inland Empire, and hopefully.
Yeah, I've just seen Gerald like maybe. What was this? Maybe Monday. I just seen Gerald. Today's Wednesday. Yeah.
Where'd you see him?
I seen Gerald Monday. He was at Iski with me. It was me, Tim, and Gerald. We was over at Iski's talking for about a good hour or something.
Wow.
How's he looking?
You know, he's looking okay. He's doing better. He's a lot healthier. You know, so that's a good thing.
God bless him. I talked to him on the phone as well. He's got that awesome bike for sale for $1,600. I would have bought 3 of them by now. I don't have any place to put them. Someone should just buy that bike for the ingenuity that he put into that, as well as the fact that it's him. And I hope to see him on the podcast. Or excuse me, I hope to see him at the event on the 13th. And I've invited both him and Temecula Bob to be on a podcast calling in. So hopefully we'll hear both of those voices soon. Charles, thanks so much. MDB in the house. We're out. Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast here. Charles, thank you for spending some time with us and representing the West Coast.
Yeah, thanks a lot. You know, it's always good to hear from you.
All right, Charles.
See
thank you,
Charles.
brother.
See you, Charles.
All right.
Well, guys, and thank you so much for. We ran long tonight. We were kind of anticipating that. Probably ran a little bit longer than I thought. That means overtime pay. Christ, I don't know how I'm going to even be able to afford it now. For those of you who hung in there with us and stood in there with us, I want to give a big shout out to you. Thank you so much. Ed, now we had a couple ideas. Here's what we're going to do. Because we ran so long, we're going to save up the shout outs for next time. For those of you who are Evil Ed fans, thank you for listening. For those of you who are Jake Mo fans, thank you for listening. A special shout out to that Jake Mo clan. I know for a fact Courtney's listening to this right now. The 2 boys one of them better be in bed. Logan, when do you go back to school?
He's back in school now.
Oh, Christ, so he's sleeping too? All right, so thank you, Team Mo, for sharing Jake. He'll be home in about an hour and 3 minutes.
An hour and
Thank you for that.
Yes, and also I want to thank you, Ed, for letting me spray you with CRC and E for damaging your equipment. E lost 13 pounds since the last time you saw him. He's doing jiu-jitsu. What's the goal, E? What do we even got down to? What's your fighting weight going to be?
Off.
My fighting weight?
Yeah, what do you want to go, 285, 265? Where do you want to be?
No, I want to be down to
220.
220.
Oh, wow. So he's going to be...
right now.
All right, so we're going to drop him down 48 pounds, 50, 30. What a miraculous feat. E, when you do that, let's see, that total loss, collectively we're going to give him 10 cents for every pound. And I want to see some money. I want to see $12-13 from each of you. E, congratulations on that. That's what it's all about, making a change in your life, a positive one. And also remember to have fun, damn it. Go buy a mini bike. Get your mini bike fixed. Get one of your friends' mini bikes that's not working. Get that running. Get it ready for Joe's Minibike Reunion October the 13th. Get it ready for Jake Moe's AV ride. Evil Ed will be there this Sunday.
This Sunday.
All right.
Yep. I'm out 9 o'clock.
I may be there. I may not be there. I don't want to get tempted and get hurt. I'm recovering. We got Evil Ed shirts. We got one Evil Ed shirt and something else that's a helmet that Jake's going to give away to a couple folks. Yep. And the winner of the small engine cams free camshaft for the best call on the inaugural Joe's Minibike Reunion All-American Minibike Roll Call goes to
Isaiah Gibbs.
You got it. What a story. You start talking about Madagascar and you start talking about the deep involvement they have with charity, winner with chicken dinner. And all we expect is some deep-fried alligator in the box shipped out here.
I was thinking we were going to give it to Kyle Moody for not answering the phone.
Shit, Kyle could have been up $500, which meant I would have been out $500. Hey, everybody, thanks for listening. It's Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast. When's the next one, E? 28th or 29th? And I would be remiss to not say thank you to my main man, Aaron Munda, the voice of Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast. And he's working on a little one now for another thing that we're working on. Aaron's the man. He's got his mini bike, his Isuzu, with his fiberglass racing flame and a frame, that body kit, and his Predator. We may have to help him get that carburetor running and get him set up, and we'll see him at Joe's Minibike Reunion, October the 13th. Bring the girls. They're going to want to meet Aaron. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. When's the next date, E? 29th of August. See you here in the garage. Our guest will likely be maybe Temecula Bob and Gerald from LC Customs calling in, and we'll continue with the roll call. If the states that have been covered are Michigan, New York, Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi, Wisconsin, Indiana, Texas, Arizona, California. If you represent a state that's outside of those states, we'd love to hear from you. And we had a few, but guess what? It's too late. See you next time. Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast brought to you by Pioneer.
Out.
Minibike Show.